Didn't you say he was your friend? That you were going to kill me? Naruto stood still, his fist mere inches from Haku's face as he recognized the boy that had shown him kindness in the forest. Even now he could see that the other boy had a good heart, and this stopped his blow. "This is no good," Haku said. "You need better conviction to be a true shinobi. Many people make this mistake, the mistake of letting their enemy live." How can you say that?" Naruto demanded, shouting. "How can that be all there is?" Haku held a hand to his heart, smiling softly. "Shinobi are tools to be used by another. That is our reason for living. In Zabuza-sama I found my reason to live. He is my precious person, the one I would give my life for, but he has no need for a weak tool. I am broken, and my reason for living is gone now. So, finish me. Find the anger you had for killing your friend, and finish what you started." "No way. Not for a guy like that," Naruto yelled with all his being, trying to reach Haku, to turn him from his course. Haku just looked up. "I once had others precious to me. They were my family, but where I come from bloodlines are feared. My whole clan was wiped out before I was ever born. The few remnants left went in hiding, like my mother. She had hoped, I suppose, that I would not inherit our blood trait, but I did. For this my father tried to kill us, and I killed him without even thinking. I killed him with my hated blood, not even knowing how I did it. I was so alone, with no cause to live. Then I met Zabuza-sama." He paused. "Do you know what the most painful thing in the world is?" he asked. Silence followed his question. "It is to be unwanted, to live with no reason. I had lived that way for some time before I met Zabuza-sama, and in his eyes I saw the same loneliness as was in my own. You told me your dream, to be acknowledged in your village. Zabuza acknowledged me, and desired this blood of mine that everyone else hated. I was so happy," he said, smiling brightly, eyes closed at the memory. "I was needed. I was wanted. I was important to someone, even if it was just as a tool." Zabuza left his country soon after, his dream being to come back and take it over again. But all that mattered for me was that he wanted me and would use me to fulfill his dream. For that happiness he gave me, I gladly give my life to help him. So now, Naruto, you must kill me." Naruto tried to fight it, to convince Haku that he was wrong, that he didn't need to die, but it was to no avail. So Naruto set his heart and moved, intending to strike for the kill, though he kept his eyes closed so he wouldn't have to witness Haku's death. Then, at the last instant, his momentum was stopped. His eyes went wide and his hand shot open once again right in front of Haku's face. It looked so different now. There was a new determination rather than his resigned gaze he had moments before. "I'm sorry, but it looks like my usefulness is not up just yet," Haku said, bringing up a hand for signing. "Good luck, Naruto," he said, fluxing his chakra. In the instant before he completed his jutsu, Naruto reacted, fluxing his own chakra as he looked deep into Haku's eyes. There was a small flash and a scream. He wasn't sure he recognized the Vyochi. His head swam. He saw colors and stars and shadows. What happened? Kakashi-sensei? Anyone? Naruto? Yeah, it's me. What's going on? I can't see." Kakashi looked back and forth across the now clear bridge, taking in what he saw. Haku, the boy who followed Zabuza, was now impaled on his lightning blade. But he wasn't. He was right in front of him, but he wasn't. He looked back and forth again, seeing Naruto's body on the ground, a very Naruto like Haku scrambling around as he tried to regain his sight. "Naruto, just sit tight. I'm sure your sight will return in a moment," he said. "I have no idea what's going on, but I'll have to make sure this is finished before I can safely help him. I'm sorry, Zabuza, but it would appear that even Haku's speed wasn't enough to save you this time." The missing nin's eyes were wide as he witnessed the same thing that Kakashi did. An ethereal Haku stood between them, but without a body it did little to stop Kakashi's lightning blade from piercing his heart. Even now he could feel the life slipping out of him. Haku. The image began to fade as the boy turned to face his master. I'm sorry, Zabuza-sama. I guess my usefulness was over after all. No, Haku. Don't go. It's not over for you. I will miss you. Haku faded into nothingness as he spoke his final words. Then Gato appeared, clapping and mocking the dying demon of the mist. My, it looks like the demon got beat, he cackled. Too bad. At least you seem to manage killing a few of them before you died. It saves me the trouble of having you all killed, he shouted, pointing to the mass of mercenaries behind him. It's also too bad that your brat is still alive, he said, pointing his cane at Haku. I was going to enjoy torturing him for breaking my arm, Zabuza growled. Kakashi, the moment you remove your hand, my blood will flow freely, and I will die in seconds, he said softly. But I will not tolerate him speaking of Haku like that. The boy deserves better. Please, send me at him before I die. Kakashi nodded, dismissing his hounds that still clung to the knee and using his free hand to lift his sword and place the handle in his hand. You have one chance, he said, but I will ensure that he dies if you don't get him. Thanks, but I have to get him. It's personal, you know? Kakashi nodded. I know. Here you go. With that, Kakashi and Zabuza placed themselves, and the mist Nin was thrown through the air as the now empty hole in his chest spewed his blood across the bridge. Come, die at the hands of the demon of the mist. Die, Gato, die. The diminutive man squealed and ran, trying to hide in the mass of men behind him, but none of them could stand to the short seconds of onslaught that came as Zabuza flew over them to Gato, swinging his great blade with all he had left, landing in front of his former employer. Gato uttered a cry of primal fear and fell over backwards. No, you're dead. Die. Just die. Zabuza grinned. Of course, as long as you go with me, he said, and the last of his strength was used to once again swing his massive blade, cleaving Gato's head from his body. Fear was the last feature etched into his face as the larger man's body fell onto his. Haku, it's done. I'm sorry. I'll never see you again. Kakashi sighed. Death was nothing new to him. It was the life of a shinobi to fight and to die, but he honored the worthy dead, those like Zabuza who died for a good cause. For Zabuza, it was for Haku that he spent his last seconds fighting. For a friend, rather than the tool her traditionally treated him as. Paying homage would have to wait till later. For now there were other matters to handle. Like the mercs shouting out across the whole of the bridge as they decided what to do now that their employer was dead. He killed him. Who's gonna pay us now? What about the village? Hey, yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, let's ransack the place. Oh boy, Kakashi muttered. This isn't good. Hey sensei, I think I'm starting to see again. It sounded like that Zabuza guy killed Gato. Did he sensei? That would be awesome. He still had no idea that he no longer inhabited his body. Yeah, he replied, finding it odd to address his student in such a form. Yeah, he did. But now the mercenaries are going to be a bit of a problem. What? Oh, come on, he cried. Well, nothing for it then. Shadow clone jutsu. Several Hakus then appeared, but not in the numbers that Naruto was looking for. Of course, he didn't know that. Neither him nor his clones could see well enough to tell the difference. All right, guys, let's take him out. Yeah. With that pronouncement, they all proceeded to run off the bridge or into each other, all of them dispelling. Naruto ended up tripping over his own body. Oof. Hee. Guess I should have waited till I could see again. Ha-sensei? Kakashi's sweat dropped. Yeah. Probably. Still, I think I can. Oh no? Gone? He's gone. A new voice, much deeper and more powerful, began to speak. Then laugh. Ha ha ha. He's gone. I'm going to be free. The bridge was washed over with an immense chakra, causing the mercenaries to flee in fear, thinking that this other ninja must be more powerful than they thought. Images of the now dead Zabuza fresh in their minds, cleaving many of them in two even as he dying with the hole in his chest. Not good. Kakashi muttered, leafing through his bag. Good thing the Hokage gave me one of these just in case. Implement in hand, he shot off towards Naruto's body. It was enveloped in the Kyuubi's chakra, but he was struggling to make the body move. More. I'm going to be free. Sorry, not in the plans, Kyuubi, Kakashi declared, slamming a paper seal on Naruto's forehead. You're staying put still. We can get Naruto back in this body of his. What? Knew. I was so close. Darn you, Kakashi. Darn you. The chakra spiked as the Kyuubi tried to overpower the seal, but it was to no avail. Naruto's body slumped and the fox's chakra receded. Too close, Kakashi said, wiping sweat from his forehead. Though granted, I doubt anyone could have expected that. Sensei? What just happened? Is Naruto okay? Of course I'm okay, Sakura-chan. Can't you tell? I'm right over here. Naruto, sight returned well enough to see basic shapes, had spotted Sakura's pink hair as she and Tazuna moved closer. What? What are you trying to pull? What's that guy trying to pull, Sensei? Actually. I don't know how, but that is Naruto. What? But Sensei, I can see Naruto right there. Sakura-chan, why are you pointing over there? I'm right here, he said, walking carefully forward. His vision was clearing rapidly now, and he could see his sensei leaning over something orange. Strange. Wasn't he the only one wearing orange? And why was it so hard to walk? Felt like he was wearing clogs or something. Sensei? Is Sakura okay? I mean, she isn't having vision problems like me, is she? No, but I think you need to wipe your eyes. Maybe it'll help clear up your vision the rest of the way, Kakashi suggested. Naruto began to do so as Kakashi continued. Just so you know, I can't explain this, but I will do everything in my power to help you fix this. What are you talking about, Sensei? Fix what? Everyone's talking too weird. Why can't someone look? One of my clones is still around. Kakashi stared for a moment, face palming himself before he spoke. Naruto, that isn't a clone. Look at your body. Why? Is there something Now calm down, Naruto. I'm sure dash. Where's my jumpsuit? How'd I get into Haku's clothes? Wait. My hair. Naruto's panic jabbering calmed down as the real crisis dawned on him. He looked back and forth between his body lying on the ground and the one he was in. Sensei, that's just a clone, right? It's just a clone? And I'm in a genjutsu, right? Right? Kakashi shook his head. Sorry, Naruto? Can't explain it, but this is your body. Right now, you are in Haku's body. Hey, Amaha. Maybe it's for the best, Tsunami said, trying to console the dejected Naruto. Who knows? Maybe this will be a good thing. Naruto shook his head, not even touching the food that was put in front of him. Look at it this way, Sasuke interjected. At least you can use that ice ability now. That and you look better now. Naruto slammed his hands down on the table. No, that's not funny. Sasuke, I'm sitting in Haku's body. Haku's body. This isn't mine. I want my body back, not one I stole. I can't risk being out of my body like this. What if it tries to escape again? That's why I'm keeping these seals handy, Naruto. No, Sensei, you don't get it. If I was the only thing keeping that fox back, then what's gonna happen now? Huh? He can bide his time and wait until someone looses it, and then what? When no one is around to stop him, he'll take over, and then the village will be destroyed. And it's all my fault. Naruto, you can't say that. You didn't mean to dash. To what? He shouted at his female teammate. To what? To steal someone else's body and leave the Kyuubi free in my own? I just screwed the whole village. Naruto, how do you even know that it was you that did it? Well, goodness knows Haku didn't do it. You think he would have wanted to give up his body when he could have used it to save Zabuza? I hate it, but he lived to serve that guy no matter how he treated him. He didn't do it. Sensei did do it, you didn't do it. Sasuke was knocked out, so who else is there? It was me. I must have done it. And no matter what I do, I can't get back in. Sure enough, his body had several bruises on its arms and forehead where Naruto tried to get back in by bashing Haku's body into his, pushing the two into each other and all sorts of chakra fluctuations. Nothing worked. Even Kakashi was at a loss for how to get Naruto back. Naruto, I promise. Nothing will happen to your body while I'm here. I can use shadow clones to stay attentive and always be ready with a seal, and once we get back to the village, the Hokage will know what to do. He isn't known as the professor for nothing. No one knows more about jutsu than him. He'll know what to do. Will he? Naruto asked. Will he know what to do? Have you ever even seen anything close to what I'm going through now? Yes, actually. Naruto started. What? When? Who? How? What did they do to get back? Tell me, sensei. Tell me. Whoa, Naruto, calm down. I can't help you there. It's a clan secret, after all. The Yamanaka clan, like your old classmate Ino, have the ability to read or take over minds. This is a little different, but I imagine that it's similar, and all they do is use hand signs for their jutsu. Give the Hokage a little bit to look at you and he'll have it figured out and you'll be back in your body in no time. You really think so, sensei? Kakashi nodded. Of course, so don't worry about it. So please eat up. We'll make sure your body is fine by feeding it, but that won't do us any good if you die from malnutrition in that body first. Oh right, time to eat. The difference between the dejected Naruto and the classic hyperactive one was so great that even Kakashi's jaw dropped. His drink spilling on the floor for a moment before he remembered he was pouring it. Well, I better hope I'm right, though, otherwise I don't know what we're going to do. Man, I never realized how great it would be to be home again. Guess you never realize how much you miss a place until you leave it, huh, sensei? Yes. Most genin get that feeling the first few times you leave the village. You get used to it after a while. HN. Yeah, I guess I kinda missed the village too. Still, even if I hate to admit it, I'm looking forward to not feeling weird whenever I talk to Naruto. Hee. You and me both, Sakura. Ma. Keep it down, you too. Why, sensei? Well, if you can manage to replicate what you did on this mission, it'd be better to keep it a secret, don't you think? Why? I don't think I'd ever even want to do it again. It's just creepy, he said, shivering. To be in someone else's body. I think he means it could come in handy against an enemy, Naruto. Still, fine, he said, giving in and shrugging his shoulders. He did a small dance as he tried to keep his body from falling due to unsettling it with the shrug. Phew, that was close. Don't need another bruise after the others heal, right, sensei? Of course. Now, let's get to the Hokage's office before too many people get a good look at us. At least most of the civilians won't realize I've put up a genjutsu. Several minutes later, that had made it to the Hokage's office. Though it took a moment, Kakashi managed to arrange to report to the Hokage immediately. Being an Exumbu had its perks. That and being one of the most powerful shinobi in the village. Well, Kakashi, are you going to tell me why it's so important that you couldn't submit a written report? Right now you're just taking away my time to get through all that paperwork. And why do you have a genjutsu on your team? Sorry. I guess I should have dispelled that already. Kai! Before anyone could even move, Sarutobi was at Naruto's side. How long has he been unconscious? Is he okay? Who is this boy carrying him? Why did you not send me a report of this sooner? You, Ji-san? I'm right here, you know. The Hokage started for a moment as he looked at the other boy carrying Naruto. Ji-san? And who are you again? Naruto scratched his head. Actually, I'm Naruto. But man, do we have a story to tell you about how our mission went. Naruto stared at the old man for a moment. Ji-san, he asked, poking him. The mighty Hokage fell over. Several minutes later, after reviving the Hokage and assuring him that the fox was not a problem as of yet, Team 7 gave their full report. Hiruzen kept the doors closed and Umbu posted outside the room to ensure they not be overheard. His fingers were kept firmly laced together below his chin as he took in every detail from the story, never interrupting as he attempted to discern what Naruto was addressing him from another person's body. So as near as I can figure, Naruto somehow managed to pull off one of the Yamanaka's techniques, or at least something very similar. What do you think? The man continued to stare into space for a moment before answering. It can't be of theirs. Even if he had managed it, it would have dispelled on its own by now. He looked down at Naruto's body, now laid down on his desk. And, Naruto, come over here. Yeah, sure. You figured it out already. Huh? That was pretty fast, G-san. Hiruzen shook his head. No, I haven't. I just want to check your bodies out at the same time. I'm just going to put my hands on your foreheads and flux my chakra. It'll be like a doctor's visit. He grimaced as Naruto visibly flinched. I mean, like trying out 2 flavors of ramen, except that instead of testing them to see what is different, I'm going to try and find what's the same and see if I can work it backwards from there. Oh, okay. Darn it. I really want to be back in my body. I want to get you back there soon, too, the old man said, cool hands resting on the foreheads of Naruto's and Haku's bodies. All right, here we go, he whispered, letting his chakra flow. His wrinkles creased further and further as he tried to identify the similarities of the 2 bodies and spirits. After several minutes, he let go. Naruto, I'm afraid that figuring this out is going to take a while. Nanny. But, Sensei, you said dash. I know, Kakashi said, cutting him off as he put a hand on his shoulder. I honestly wanted to believe it would be over that fast, almost as much as you did. I didn't want you to worry. A small tear dropped from his eye. I'm sorry, Naruto. He turned to the Hokage. You said a while. You can reverse it, right, Hokage-sama? Instead of answering, he picked up his pipe and relit it, taking a few drafts from it as Sakura tried to comfort her sobbing teammate. I will take a while, but I see no reason to believe it can't be done. I could still sense traces of Naruto's chakra. It was enough to ascertain that Naruto's life, at least, is still centered in his own body. It is the anchor for whatever has happened here. Fortunately, for now, the connection is weak enough that harming one body will not harm the other, as long as Naruto doesn't die. You will try not to die, right, Naruto? The blonde sniffed for a moment, wiping his eyes and nose. Why, yeah, I can do that. I thought so. You always were a stubborn one. Obscenely so. Naruto managed a small grin to the comment. I'm going to arrange my schedule so that I have time to look into this every couple of days. As many as I can spare. Also, I think you're on the right track with the Yamanakas. I'll talk to Inoichi, maybe have him take a look at Naruto. Until then, here's what we'll do. Naruto, you are going to go by another name to preserve this as a secret, should this be something you can use in your ninja career. We are going to move your body to the hospital. I've got a group of doctors and nurses that will take care of keeping your body alive and well. Of course, we'll be keeping a squad of Umbu by your body as well, just to ensure that the Kyuubi doesn't try to break free again. You will remain part of Team 7. Is that understood? Even Naruto nodded. Good. So, what name will you be going by? Naruto scratched his head. It's Haku's body. The least I can do is use his name. Fine. Haku it is, then. Remember that, everyone. Oh, also, I suggest you get yourself a new apartment. What? Heck no. I like my apartment. Naruhaku, we need people to not be associating your current body with your real one. This is simply another precaution. We're going to list you as a new shinobi, still a genin, though. This will allow you access to special recruit funds. Kakashi will help you requisition the funds to get you one pick one out. I suggest you do that now. I'll take care of getting Naruto to the hospital for long-term care. Everyone clear? Dismissed. As they left, Haku, looking rather forlorn, he looked down at Naruto's body once more. I really hope I live up to my nickname now, he whispered. I hope you'll forgive me by lying and saying I can beat this. Naruto, you just may be stuck. Well, I guess it'll do, Naruto said. eyes slowly moving over the room. Yes. I'm so sorry for the state of the apartment. We are always happy to cater to our brave shinobi, the apartment manager said, bowing towards their soon-to-be new tenant. The room was the cleanest Naruto had ever seen, and the fridge looked brand new. As you can see, there is a location for laundry back this way, near the bathroom, but if you do not have your own machines for that, we have coin laundry elsewhere on the facilities. There may only be 4 rooms here, but that should be enough for a new genin starting out, and the missus makes dinner every Friday night for the shinobi tenants. How many other shinobi live here? Asked Kakashi. Ah yes, your comrades. There are about dozen or so, most of them chunin. In fact, one of them is an instructor at the academy that your comrades will have gone to. Oh? Which one? Unimo Irika. Such a good lad. He lost his parents about 12 years back. Naruto flinched at the reference, remembering the night he had learned the truth about himself and the Kyuubi. Sensei, I'm not sure this will be a good place dash. No, I think this will be perfect, Kakashi said, cutting Naruto off. Irika is a good man. If you need help with anything, he will be there. In fact, I'll give him a visit before leaving. But Sensei dash. No, trust me, this will be a good fit. Can you go get the paperwork? I need to help with the signing since Haku here is from outside the village. Sponsorship and all. Yes, of course, I'll be right back, the man said, hurrying back to his office. Naruto bit his lip as he turned to his teacher. Sensei, I'm not sure this is a good idea. Yes, I know. Irika is very important to you and you don't want to lie, but it will help your cover. Besides, if I tell him that Naruto inspired you, then he'll look out for you here. It will be different than the relationship you had before, but I don't want you to have to feel alone. I'm your team leader, and Sasuke and Sakura are your teammates, but you need a bigger network to branch out to. People you talk to who don't know the truth. Not only will this help your cover, but I want you to have the additional support. Just in case. Just in case? Just in case what, Sensei? I wasn't honest before, so I'm going to be honest now. The look on the Hokage's face. It may take the rest of his life to figure out how to put you back. Only the 4 of us know that you are really Naruto. Haku needs friends as well. He put a hand firmly on Naruto's shoulder, looking him straight in the eye. You've been alone enough in your life. I'm not going to let you isolate yourself like that again. Promise me you'll try and make friends again as you are. Okay? I don't know if I can, Sensei. What was that? Uzumaki Naruto can't do something? I'm not Naruto now though, am I? He hit his chest. I'm Haku now, right? So what does it matter about Naruto? What can I expect dash? He stopped mid-sentence as Kakashi placed a hand on his head. Haku is the body, he said. But the spirit is Naruto. I know you can do it. I believe in you. The building owner was completely mystified by the genin sobbing into his sensei as he came back up the stairs. Poor boy, he thought. I wonder what he left behind. At least it looks like his sensei will take care of him. Maybe I'll have the missus bring up cookies later. As everyone else was settling down, Team 8 was returning from helping a farmer outside the village. His family was all sick and it was time to lay down a new set of crops. With only himself remaining healthy, he needed additional help to plant everything in time. Hinata smiled as she recalled how profusely he had thanked them for all the work they had done, especially when Kiba and Akamaru had drilled right through a huge boulder that had been sitting on his land for years. Still, it was good to be back in the village. Naruto had been gone for over almost 2 weeks now, and she missed seeing him. She sighed, remembering the object of her affections before her sensei spoke. If it's all the same to you 3, I think I'll give the report myself. It's been a long day for you after all. Sensei, why do you smell different all of a sudden? It almost smells like you're embarrassed, Kiba said. That was unwise to say. What? Why? I'm only asking dash. If you were paying attention, Sensei is no longer embarrassed. I suspect your training will be harder tomorrow. But what? Come on, Sensei. I was only curious. he cried out as Kurenai cracked her knuckles, eyes twitching. Kibakuin, I think that perhaps maybe Sensei does not wish to speak of it. Some things are private, she advised, noting the presence of a certain adult jounin in nearby proximity, acting as though he was totally uninterested in the progress of their group. Yeah, but… Okay, fine. I'm sorry. Good. Now run home before I change my mind. Yeah. Sure, Sensei, I'm gone. And gone he was, disappearing quickly down the street. I thank you for the training we did today, Sensei. I hope you enjoy your evening, the bug-using genin said, bowing as he turned towards his family's compound. Yes, I also thank you for the training. Enjoy your evening, Sensei. Kurenai smiled. Of course. You be safe, Hinata, and don't be so down on yourself. Hi, Sensei. She hummed happily as she walked back to the Hyuga compound, wondering if Naruto might be back yet. She was sure he would be excitedly telling his story for the next several days at least. After all, it wasn't often that genin got C-rank missions, but she knew that he was more than capable. Naruto-kun. Another happy sigh was released, but an instant later she froze as she saw a group of people walking into the hospital, carrying someone on a stretcher. Her heart gripped in a vice, fear filling her as she sighted a familiar mop of blonde hair. Naruto-kun. Hello there. Kakashi tells me that you're filling in for Naruto on his team. He said you met him before he fell into his coma? Naruto gulped as he looked at his door. He had been leaving his apartment for his first day on Team 7 as Haku. He hadn't thought he was ready to meet his old sensei, but it didn't look as though he had a choice now. Okay, keep it cool. Just act calm, I guess. He turned to face Irika. My name is Haku, and yes, I did meet Naruto. He was important to me. Irika blinked. Really? Wow. I have to say I'm surprised. You couldn't have known him more than a few days before it happened. Yes, I met him the first day he came to Wave Country, actually. He was training in the woods while I was gathering herbs. He really cares about this village. Irika nodded with a sad smile. Yeah, he does. Did he tell you his dream? To be Hokage. Yeah, that's the one. You know though, he said, scratching his chin. Back in the academy, I never would have believed it, but now… Well, once he wakes up at least, I really believe that he'll make it. But don't you tell him I said that. He warned as Naruto held back tears of pride. He'll just get a big head. Of course. I promise I'll never tell him. He bowed. I'm sorry, but I must leave for our team meeting. Naturally. I'm sorry for keeping you. Though I do have one more question, he said. How is it that you got accepted onto the team? That's something I've never heard of before. Someone coming from outside and joining the village straight to genin. Well, I already had ninja training, he said. My master, he was a powerful shinobi. Maybe I'll tell you about him later. Sounds good. Good luck with the missions today. Arigato, Naruto said, bowing again as he left. Man, I'm gonna have to look into Zabuza's history now. Maybe Sensei can help with that. I heard what happened to you from Sakura, Hinata said. I'm sorry, Naruto, that this happened. She sat down after placing flowers by his bedside. It's not fair. You deserve so much better than this. She wiped her eyes as the tears fell. I never even got to tell you how I feel. She sighed, looking out the window. When you wake up, I'll be ready. I'll be strong enough to tell you, because I don't want to risk losing you again, and I'll come visit you every day, she declared. That's my promise, and I don't go back on my word. She sat there for several minutes, watching the blonde's body as his chest rose and fell with his breathing. Well, I have to go now. We have missions today, and I can't let down my team. I'll see you later, Naruto-kun, she said. She looked on him longingly for another moment, then turned and left, determined to fulfill her promise to tell him how she felt. She would be true to her word. Every day, as long as his body was in that bed, she would visit him and bring him flowers. Oh, hey Haku. Are you Feeling better? Sakura asked as Naruto arrived at the bridge. Yeah, a little I think. Sensei not here yet. No, not yet. How's the new body? Fine? Why? Sasuke shrugged. Just asking. Thought that maybe the new body would feel different. Maybe throw you off. Naruto blinked. Oh, I didn't think of that. I guess I do have a different reach and such now. Sasuke straightened and started walking away. Hey, where are you going? The Uchiha looked over his shoulder. We all know Sensei is going to be a while, so I thought we could spar, help you get used to the change. Huh? Really? Naruto brightened considerably. Heck yeah, bring it on. A couple hours later Kakashi appeared, looking around for a moment. Sakura, where are Naruto and Sasuke? Oh, Sensei, you're late, you know? The Jounin side. Where are they and how long have they been fighting? Actually, Sasuke offered to spar with Haku at the training grounds to help him adjust to the change, she said, emphasizing certain words so Kakashi would get the message as a stranger crossed the bridge. Kakashi blinked. Well, maybe it won't be as bad as I thought. Alright, let's go get them. We do have a mission, after all. Hi, Sensei. Asterisk Huff. Huff asterisk, is that all you got? Sasuke? PFT. I'm more than ready for whatever you can dish out, Dobe. Naruto grinned. Alright, Huff, then here I come. Sasuke took up a defensive stance. He was still surprised by Naruto's continued stamina. Despite still having his own chakra, stamina was a measure of the physical limits even more than the energy ones, and Naruto was pushing at it almost like normal, though admittedly he wouldn't normally be breathing this hard. What really interested Sasuke was that Naruto seemed to have access to Haku's chakra as well. When he performed jutsus, there was an occasional hint of water or ice, but only a hint, like it was trying to get itself used. He guessed it was because of Haku's familiarity with his bloodline and his body had simply grown accustomed to using it frequently. Just as Naruto drew close, his momentum was stopped. I think that's about enough for today. But Sensei, Huff, this was important Huff training. I know, but we don't need you wearing yourself out too much. After all, you don't have access to the regenerative powers that you did before. I asterisk Huff feel fine. Yes, for now, but if you keep this up, you won't have the strength you need later in the day. You too, Sasuke. Well, I got us a mission already dash. Nanny? That's why you were late. As Sakura's shout dimmed to an echo, all three genins stared at their teacher, amazed that he might have been late for a useful purpose. Well, we were discussing changes in routine to help Naruto adjust, much as Sasuke was doing for him this morning. We're only doing one mission today, it's weeding by the way. He put in quickly, moving on before his students could object. So I can spend some time working with Naruto to figure out what changes we need to make. But after that, Naruto, the two of us will be spending an extra hour each day figuring out how to utilize Haku's bloodline, in case you are staying for a significant period. But we don't even have any idea how to do that. Well, actually, Kakashi said, before meeting Haku, I fought with a couple people with his bloodline back during the Ninja War. That would have been before the clan purges in Kiri, and then I managed to witness some of his techniques with my Sharingan during your battle with Haku at the bridge. Sasuke might be able to help as well, since he activated his Sharingan during the fight. But how do we even know if I can? Naruto asked. Well, in theory, Sakura said, the ability is in Haku's blood, so even though you're using your chakra, you'd have access to the bloodline, kind of like Sensei can use the Sharingan even though he isn't an Uchiha. Is that right, Sensei? Kakashi nodded. Close enough, but that's all for later. Let's get our mission taken care of, shall we? Over the course of the next several days, Team 7 settled into the new routine. They were back into normal missions quickly, and Naruto and Kakashi worked at chakra manipulation in the afternoons after the normal team training. It took Naruto a while to get the concept of nature element, but he was learning quickly. He seemed to be intent on improving as much as possible. Part of that was the hope that with greater chakra control, perhaps the chances of getting back into his body would be raised. Afterwards, he would see if the Hokage was available and check to see if he'd made progress with his research. There was nothing yet to show an improvement. The last thing Naruto always did before going home was to visit his body. It gave him comfort to know that it was still there and safe and healthy, waiting for him. He even tried to re-enter it a couple of times. The whole ordeal was causing him to be more serious and think things through more than he normally would. The Hokage and his team were grateful for that change. On evening, visiting his body did lead to a unique revelation. Hinata. The Hyuga jumped slightly as she changed out the flowers she'd been leaving at Naruto's bedside. She had been going to Ino's flower shop, and the girl had suggested an arrangement that meant, "Get better soon," at the same time as, "I care about you." She had never seen other visitors, though, including Naruto's teammates. She was a little annoyed, in her own way, that they seemed to care so little about him, but she had hoped that perhaps they simply visited at a different time than she did. This person, however, was a complete stranger to her. Hello?" she greeted, steadying the vase. "Who are you?" Naruto scratched his head. Sorry about that. The Hokage gave me a briefing on who the other genin were who graduated with Naruto. She eyed him warily. I've never seen you in the village before." "Oh, right, sorry," he apologized, bowing. "My name is Haku. I met Naruto during his last mission. He was inspirational." Hinata turned to gaze back at Naruto's body. "Yes, he was," she said softly. They stood there in silence for a moment, Naruto trying to figure out how to converse with the girl. Why was she here, anyway? You visit Naruto a lot?" "Yes," she nodded. "Every day. No one else seems to be. He deserves better than that." "Well, I've been here," he said. "And the team, they're looking out for him, too." Hinata brightened a little. "Oh, that's good. I hadn't seen them, and I thought maybe they didn't." She let the thought hang. Naruto understood what she meant, and he wondered if maybe he shouldn't talk to his team about visiting his body, just so that no one else thought what Hinata just did. "Sue, why the flowers? I mean, it seems like it would be a hassle." Hinata shook her head at the suggestion. "No, never, not for Naruto. I'm not a nurse. I can't fix him or help him get better. But when he wakes up, one of the first things he'll see will be the flowers. I want him to be able to see something pretty when he first wakes up, a sign that someone was thinking about him, in case no one is here when he does wake up." "But what if he doesn't?" Naruto asked softly, voicing his own fear. Then I'll keep on bringing flowers," she said. "Every day that I am able, I will bring them, because he wouldn't want us to give up. He wouldn't give up on one of us, so I won't give up on him. Every day I bring the flowers will be another day showing that I believe in him, and he will see them because he will wake up. I know it." Naruto couldn't help but be moved by her speech. He had never seen her so vehement about anything through the several years they'd spent together in the academy. Had he really been that important to her? What was it that had made him so important to her, that had, as she said, inspired her? How was it that Naruto inspired you? I mean, when I was younger, I really lacked any confidence in myself. After a poor training session with my father and sister, I ran away, crying, and ran into another boy in the village. Because I was part of the Hyuga clan, and I seemed weak, they wanted to make fun of me. I just felt so hopeless then, but then," she continued, a soft smile gracing her lips, "he appeared and made them stop. Even though it was 3-on-1, he wasn't afraid. The next day at the academy, he didn't even act like he'd been beaten up. He was his normal, happy self, and he didn't even mention it to me. I don't know if it even mattered that it was me, or if he recognized me. I watched him, and that was just the sort of person he was, not wanting people to be treated different or made fun of, and he never gave up. I guess that's why Why?" Hinata blushed. "Why you? What?" Naruto asked, trying to recall the incident. Had he really just jumped in and not recognized his quiet classmate? Why? And what was it that was so hard for her to say now? I promised myself that I would tell him when he woke up. If I can't say it now, how can I say it to him when he wakes up? Hinata steeled her courage and took a breath. That's why I love him. The silence was only broken when Naruto finally stuttered out a shocked reply. Why you, love me? Hinata's head whipped around to stare at the poor, eyes narrow again. Love him? He wasn't Naruto. Naruto was on the bed, and he couldn't be in two places at once. He'd been in a coma since his last mission. Who was this guy? Was he even here to visit her crush? Who are you? Oops. I don't suppose you'd believe Naruto. As the imposter chuckled, Hinata scanned the room, looking for other enemies or traps. There was nothing obvious, but still, this boy made himself seem harmless, up until he pretended to be Naruto. It was time to check and make sure. She activated her Byakugan, prepared to scan the room until what she saw made her freeze in shock. The chakra in Naruto's body was not his. It was immense and seemed sinister. The chakra in Haku's body, though, its color and fluctuation, every person's chakra had a different resonance, a different signature, much how every person looks different from another except in the case of twins in some cases. And this chakra, it was, her face turned red. Naruto K. Kuin? Hi, Hinata. Hinata! There was no way it was true. Couldn't be true. It wasn't true. But Naruto K. Kuin? Hi, Hinata. Hinata! Naruto shot forward as Hinata fell over, almost falling over himself as he moved faster than he thought he could. Hinata! What's wrong? Please be okay. Stupid Kit. Naruto looked up in surprise. His body was talking. He narrowed his eyes. QB. His body let out a strangled laugh. Yeah, QB. It's funny seeing you there. Not used to. Stupid body. Hey, my body ain't stupid. The fox shrugged. Too small. No way out. Stuck with stupid Kit that can't even recognize when girl likes him. Best part of day. Seeing you be so stupid. Good laugh. Well, I know now, he said. So just keep your my mouth shut. First time, free, talk when I want to. Naruto picked Hinata up in his arms, carrying her bridal style. I know what it's like to be caged, so I'll let this slide, but I will get my body back, so enjoy talking with it while you can. I'm going to take Hinata somewhere to rest away from you. Bah, fine. I'll just talk to myself. The QB grumbled, annoyed that his entertainment was leaving. Naruto ignored him as he carried Hinata away to another room, informing the nurse that she had fainted. A quick examination informed him it was just a mild shock and she would be fine soon. All she needed was rest. Naruto stayed at the bedside for a few moments, be standing to leave. I'm not sure what to do yet, Hinata-chan, but I promise I'll talk to you about this soon. Bye. Naruto K. Kuin. Hinata managed to sit up just as he left. She had been regaining consciousness at the same time he left, but she was still trying to come to grips with what had happened. That boy was Naruto, and she had just confessed to him. She was torn between celebrating and fainting again. But if he is separate from his body, what happened? And why isn't he telling anyone? She contemplated what she should do next for several minutes before the nurse from before arrived and checked her again before saying she could go. But to be careful and try to avoid surprises. Naruto-kun said he'd talk with me soon, so I'll wait, and until then I'll keep his secret. I will wait. You did what again? Naruto scratched his head in embarrassment. Well, I kinda let it slip to Hinata that it's me. His teammates stared at him, making him hold his hands defensively. Well, what was I supposed to do? She just told me she loved me. Sakura slapped her forehead. You idiot. She's had a crush on you for years. Goodness knows why. Don't matter, said Sasuke. Missions are about stealth and secrecy. You need to keep your secret better. Hey, I didn't tell Irika, did I? That's true. But you still shouldn't be so easy to give away your secret. The fewer people that know, the better. Did you at least tell her not to tell anyone? Asked Kakashi. She was kinda unconscious. The Jounin side. I'll send a message to the Hokage to make sure she doesn't talk, he said. Meantime, I suppose we need to get training on your new bloodline again. You think you can make ice on purpose this time? Naruto nodded. Yeah, probably. Alright, let's see. Sasuke, if you could watch? I get more tired using my Sharingan than you do, and he was pretty close yesterday. The Uchiha shrugged as Sakura set herself down to watch, not wanting to be away from her team just yet. Alright, let's do this. Ayam was checking the ingredients in her basket, making sure she had everything she needed before seeing the teenage shinobi standing nervously outside her father's ramen stall. Hello there. Did you need help with something? The boy turned to glance at her, jumping as if in surprise. Yes, I guess. I heard someone say that this was the best place for for food in Konoha. I guess. I'm just expected something more expensive looking. His eyes shifted slightly. I guess I'm at the wrong place. I must have heard the name wrong. I should get going. Oh, come on, Ayam said, hoping to gain a new customer. You should at least give it a chance. Who told you about us anyway? The boy scratched his head. It was funny how much he reminded her of Naruto when he was nervous. Where was that kid anyway? He hadn't been around for ramen in a couple weeks now. She'd heard he'd gone on a mission, but shouldn't a Genin team be done with any kind of mission they had within 2 weeks? It was a guy named Naruto. Ayam almost dropped her basket. Naruto? Uzumaki Naruto? Where is he? What's he been up to? Why hasn't he been by? She demanded, gripping the boy's sleeve. Ah! He jumped back, causing Ayam to realize how scary she'd just been. Ah, sorry, she said, bowing. It's just, Naruto is just about our best customer. And it's been a while since we've seen him, she said. I've been getting worried. Can you tell me where he is? Naruto bit his lip. He's in the hospital, the girl gasped. The hospital? What's wrong? They don't know. Met him in Wave Country. He told me about this place then, but something happened on the mission. Now he'd unconscious, in a coma, they said. No, not Naruto. That can't be. He bowed his head, hating lying to her. It's true. Naruto protected me and inspired me to come here and become a ninja. I'm just sorry that he had to stop, for now. But I believe he'll come back. Ayam hung her head, holding back her tears. Thank you for telling me. Come in. For Naruto's friend, ramen will be on the house tonight. She forced a smile. It's the least we can do for Naruto's newest friend. Naruto bowed again. He wondered offhandedly how much it must suck to be royalty, having to bow as often as they seemed to. Arigato? You don't happen to have miso ramen, do you? Ayam managed to smile. Yes, I think we can manage that. Team 7 began to fall into the new pattern easily. Sometimes Naruto's teammates would stay to watch his special training. Sometimes Kakashi would work with Naruto alone. Each person would make it to the hospital every couple of days to keep up the appearance of Naruto's coma. They even ran into Hinata once or twice, who continued to change the flowers in Naruto's room. They would nod to each other, not speaking of Naruto's true condition, and go on. Naruto always made time to see his body privately, sometimes conversing with the Kyuubi, but it kept that to himself. He wondered if perhaps it was the fox keeping him out, and thought that, by keeping its ability to speak a secret, it would open up to him and let him in again. After all, it couldn't do anything with his body, so why not try? Of course, the fox preferred to taunt him rather than cooperate. One of his most recent stories had revolved around the history of his Jinchurikis. After claiming his mother had been the one before Naruto, even claiming to have escaped during childbirth, Naruto had stood up and left, not wanting to listen to such an obvious lie. Today he picked another topic to rile Naruto with. It is annoying watching that girl every day. Sakura-chan. She doesn't come here every day. The Kyuubi shook Naruto's head. No, the other. Oh, Hinata-chan. He rolled his eyes. You're annoying, you know that? Hinata's a nice girl. A nice girl you never noticed. And I do believe you haven't spoken to her since that day. Naruto hung his head in response. How do you even react when a girl tells you she loves you? We're only 12, and no one's ever actually said they love me before in any way. Actually, you are 15, Kyuubi grunted. People have been planted in marriages when far younger than you too. Naruto blushed. Hey, I am still 12. No matter what body I'm in, I'll have you know. What's so funny? The fox was chuckling. Oh, I'm just amused at how accurate that statement was. What did you think to gain by letting me talk and not telling anyone? You actually think I have control over letting you back in? I'd wager. No such luck. All you've done, in your young naivete, is allow me opportunities to practice control of your body with being caught, he said, smirking as he rolled Naruto's shoulders, an action far beyond what Naruto had even witnessed him to be capable of. Naruto's eyes widened as he jumped up from his seat and the Kyuubi continued. And now that I've had sufficient practice, I shall be free from this village. Not on my watch. Naruto stared. The Kyuubi's face, so confident a moment ago, had twisted so suddenly it was like two sides of a coin. Kushina. How? No. I won't let you dash. You will not take my son's body. I am Kyuubi. I am the greatest power in the world. Sweat poured down his body's face as the two differently toned voices seemed to fight for control. What kind of crap is this? Is he really getting control? I should get the Hokage, shouldn't I? He slapped himself for his slow thinking, preparing to leave just before the second voice cried out in triumph. Ha! Take that, fox. All dead and I can still whoop you. Oh, what's that? I can't hear you over the sound of how awesome I am. The voice cackled for a moment before seeming to realize something. Wait. Why am I? Naruto's body looked around, spotting him. Naruto? Wow, I didn't accept this. Am I really? Naruto narrowed his eyes, deciding to take one moment longer before leaving the fetch the sandame. What are you trying this time, fox? Trying to mess with my head again? It won't work. And I'm not keeping your secret any longer. The figure in the bed looked at him, baffled before laughing, a smile on his face. Ha. I guess the fox is pretty fun. But no, I'm not him. I'm your mother. Naruto's face was ripped with fury as he ran out of the room, stopping only long enough to inform his current ANBU guard that he should stay in the room with Naruto's body, ready to use the chakra suppressant seal. He could feel the man's fear, even with his mask on and their bare moments interaction. He almost wanted to laugh. Even the ANBU didn't know anything except that Naruto was not in control of his body, and the Kyuubi had already made a bid for control. Honestly, he did hope the Kyuubi kept silent for the next few minutes. For what he had said, he wanted to Hokage to suppress it as painfully as possible. No, definitely no. I'll think about it. No. Yes, actually, that might be beneficial. Hiruzen sighed as he continued to work through proposals for the village's R&D department. Many ideas did not seem worth pursuing. A double-handled kunai? What were they thinking? Taking a break to rest his eyes from staring at the ink for so long, he took out his pipe on thought on Naruto's situation. So far he had failed to glean any useful information, and his mild inquiries to the other villages had not yielded any worthwhile results, either. He had to veil his purpose for asking, which drastically lowered his ability to garner the needed data, or whatever the other villages might have. He huffed, wishing that Jiraiya would hurry up and contact him again. He'd sent out a feeler through his network, trying to prompt the man to come back. His tactics would be better for trying to get the needed information, and he himself might provide insights that Hiruzen had missed. Naruto deserved to have more time put into this, but he could only hint at so much to the man to convince him to come back. A moment later, he almost dropped his pipe as Haku came storming into the room. The anger on his face almost scared the Hokage himself, and he sincerely hoped he was not the cause of the boy's anger. Haku, what brings you in today? What's wrong? Naruto slammed the door behind him. It's that stupid fox, he said, forcing himself not to yell. I've been talking with the stupid jerk, trying to see if he was keeping me out. Hiruzen did a double take. You've been talking with him? Why didn't you tell me this? Naruto managed to look slightly ashamed, despite his anger. I was hoping I could get him to trust me, to let me back in, but he just wants to mess with me. Naruto, this is very important. How much has the Kyuubi managed to do with your body? Mostly just talked, Naruto grumbled. Today he put on a display of taking over my whole body. He shrugged my shoulders and everything, he said, causing the Hokage to stand up. But then he went with that stupid lie about my mom, pretending to be her, taking back control. Naruto wanted to spit, to get rid of the foul taste in his mouth from repeating the Kyuubi's lies. What the Hokage said next made him drop to the floor even more heavily than the Hokage had dropped back in his seat. Kushina? Thump. What? You can't mean he dash. I don't know, Hiruzen said, holding up a hand as he pushed himself out of the chair again, this time striding to Naruto and helping him up. But I think we can find out. You told me that Hinata has discovered your secret the other day, and she's kept it from what my ANBU have reported. Her Byakugan will help us here. She should be in the northeast part of the village, helping in an elderly person's garden. Tell Kurenai that Hinata is required by me for a special matter and bring her to the hospital. Naruto shifted his feet. I don't know if I can face Hinata just yet, he said. It's just, you know. Sarutobi slowed down, putting a hand on the boy's shoulder. Naruto, I understand how hard dealing with new feelings can be, and especially when it comes to romance. I'm sorry that we haven't been an adequate aid to you in this matter. If it helps, Hinata is not the only person to love you. The rest of us just haven't said it before. I apologize for failing you, but I, too, love you. You are like my grandson and I want you to be happy and comfortable, but just like any mission, right now you have to deal with something that is uncomfortable for you. You have to face Hinata. I suggest you talk with immediately after we resolve this circumstance with the fox. I will support whatever you decide, but UVE had over a week to think about it. It's time to give her your answer. I understand, he said, hanging his head. I'll get her now. That's my boy, the Hokage said, smiling down at him as they left. Naruto felt a strange feeling of pride as he jogged next to him. That felt nice. My goodness, you really seem to know your plants, the old woman commented, peering over Hinata's shoulder. The girl blushed. Well, I just really like plants, she said. Especially flowers. Her sensei spoke up, standing to stretch her back. It's no surprise she knows so much. I keep telling her she should start her own garden, even if it's just on her windowsill like mine is. Oh, do you now have enough room in your yard? Kurenai laughed good-naturedly. No, sadly not. I live in an apartment. I tend to keep a modest income. Oh really? Why is that? Well, I just think it's better to save than to spend, that's all. A pretty young thing like you, the woman asked. Why, you should be going out and having fun. Don't squander your youth like that. Why, when I was young the woman was suddenly interrupted by a strange boy's appearance. Kurenai-sensei, I'm sorry, but the Hokage needs Hinata for a special assignment. The red-eyed woman blinked. What? Why does he need Hinata? She glanced at the girl, noticing her blush and her refusal to look up at the newcomer. And just who are you, anyway? I don't think I recognize you. Ah, sorry, my name is Haku, he said, bowing respectfully to her. I'm a new member on Team 7. Team 7? That's Kakashi's team. Why does he get 4 genin? Kurenai-sensei. Naruto is in a coma. Kurenai's eyes widened. What? I hadn't heard that. When did that happen? Naruto fidgeted. Sensei? The Hokage really needs Hinata right now. Is it okay if we tell you later, please? Kurenai sighed. Fine, I guess. Just make sure you get her back for team training later. Hi, Sensei. I will return as quickly as I am able, the girl said, standing up. Thank you, Kurenai-sensei. I'll get her back as soon as possible. She nodded before turning go around to the front and tell the boys what had happened so they didn't wonder. Ah, young ones. Kurenai turned and raised an eyebrow at the old woman. Couldn't you see? She likes that boy a lot. The Jounin shook her head. No, she likes the other boy, Naruto. The one in the coma. The woman shrugged. I'm just telling you what these eyes see, and they saw that he likes her too. The younger woman furrowed her brow. That didn't seem right. What was going on? And why was Naruto in a coma? And, Haku-kun, what does the Hokage need? Hinata asked as they jumped over the rooftops. Naruto took a moment to reply. He says that your Byakugan could be helpful with something going on with Naruto's body. Hinata blinked. Wait, I thought you were Dash. Just wait a little longer, okay? He asked, sad frown on his face. We can't talk about that just yet. Hinata nodded. Hi, Haku. A few moments later, they arrived at the hospital and entered Naruto's room. The Hokage was sitting next to the bed, serious look on his face as he conversed with Naruto's body. Okay, so the Byakugan would be good. I would still prefer Mikoto-chan. Her Sharingan would work just as well. The Hokage shook his head. Kushina, if that's really you, the Uchiha clan was all but wiped out several years after your death. The blue eyes widened in shock. Wait, you mean that Mikoto is dead? He nodded as the person in Naruto's body hung their head. But she was. And Naruto-kun? What's going on? I thought that you were still. Hinata, good. I need you to check something, but first we have a few things to explain. Kushina jerkishly moved to wipe the tears from her eyes, not having good control of Naruto's body functions. Naruto's eyes widened in fear at the control being shown, but calmed, slightly, seeing the seal paper ready in the Hokage's hand. Now, I know that you've found out about Naruto's little dilemma, am I right? The girl glanced at Haku Naruto and nodded. Good. This means we don't have to spread that around. Now, when you saw that Naruto was not in occupancy, did you notice anything else? I saw. She shivered, and Naruto lightly touched her shoulder, encouraging her to not be afraid. I saw something else's chakra. It was evil feeling and very powerful. Very good, the Hokage nodded. Do you know why that chakra is in Naruto's body? I thought not. Well, Hinata, just like Naruto's current predicament, what I'm about to tell you is an S-class secret, kept from the youngsters of the village since the Kyuubi's attack. Minato, the Yondaime, did not kill the Kyuubi. For many years, the Kyuubi has been sealed into members of the Uzumaki clan, a village that is not gone, having been destroyed in the last great ninja war. No, Naruto, not now. We'll talk about it later, I promise. The boy closed his mouth, accepting that there was something a bit more important going on that moment in time. When Naruto's mother gave birth, the seal was weakened and the Kyuubi escaped. That was what caused the attack on Konoha. To stop this dash. Actually, Hokage-sama, I think I know this part of the story better than you. No one besides Minato and myself know what really happened that night. Sarutobi stared at her keenly before nodding. All right, we'll hear what you have to say in a moment. For now, I will simply say that the Yondaime gave his life to seal the Kyuubi into Naruto, which is what we need you for, my dear. The presence currently conversing with us claims to be Kushina, the one who gave birth to Naruto, and the previous Jinchuriki of the nine-tailed fox. You have seen the nine-tails chakra before, so now I ask that you look again and tell us if we are being lied to, or if this really is Kushina. Hinata nodded, gathering her chakra and activating her eyes. She was greatly surprised by the revelation, but seeing the chakra in Naruto's body, it made sense to her. She now understood, in a way, why her guardian had always told her to avoid him, and why people in the village always spoke poorly of him, like on graduation day when they were angry that he had even been given a chance as a ninja. Still, if his own personality did not show the separation between Naruto the person and the Kyuubi in his body, the fact they were separate now proved the anger and fear of the villagers was misplaced. Now he relied on her, to find out the truth of something that could be so important for him. He could meet his mother. Having lost her own years ago, she knew the hurt of not having a parent to some extent, but she also knew the comfort that came from having a mother, and she hoped that Naruto, in the way he always seemed to do, would defy the odds and have his mother be a Kugan. The world around her changed. Walls were transparent. Her sight was extended to see all around her. Chakra, that invisible life force in every being, was visible, Naruto's own resonating with its usual vibrancy. Hinata looked intently at his body, looking hard to ensure no deception. She lowered her head as she deactivated her jutsu. Well, what did you see, Hinata? I saw, she said, looking up to Naruto and smiling. Your mother, it really is her. Naruto gasped, scarcely believing what he was told. The one in charge of his body was his own mother? There was no way. Was there? Looking at his face, there was more understanding showing than he had ever expressed himself. And love. Ka-san? Kushina smiled. Yes, Naruto, I am your mother, and it's so good to meet you. She was cut off as he launched himself at her, clinging tightly to his body, not caring what it looked like as long as it was his mother. Mom, he whispered. I can't believe it's you. I always thought, I never believed I would. Neither did I, she said gently. At least not for a while yet. Minato and I planned on something, but that was for later. She frowned. Of course, that fox may have messed things up. I'm not sure how much longer I'll be present. After all, Minato's plan was only going to give us a few moments to meet each other, and Actually, Hinata was at a lose, chewing her lip as she tried to figure out how to address the woman. Uzumaki-san, she decided. I don't think it will be a problem. Oh? And why is that, Hinata? Asked the Sandame, still present despite wanting to give Naruto and his mother private time. She had said that there was more than he knew to the Kyuubi getting free, and he wanted to hear it, but suspected that it would be as Kushina had said, a limited time thing, though Hinata seemed to believe differently. Uzumaki-san's chakra has been getting stronger even in the moments since I first checked. It's replenishing itself. Kushina stared. What? But there's no way. She pursed her lips. Mom. Huh? Oh, sorry, Han. Just thinking. I'm not sure why it is that I'm being able to replenish my chakra. I should be dissipating, so to speak. Dissa-whatting? Kushina looked at Naruto for a moment before laughing. I guess you're like me that way, eh? It means disappearing. Okay, I guess I get it. But why? Well, you know that I was the Jinchuriki before you, right? Well, when the Kyuubi was ripped out of me. What? Everyone jumped as the Sandame shot to his feet. What do you mean it was ripped out of you? Can I get to that in a minute? The old man's fingers twitched for a moment. Yes, of course. But I have a feeling this is going to be important. Kushina nodded. Yes, I would agree, but we have some time to talk about it. I want to talk with Naruto first. The old man forced himself to sit. Go on. Thank you. Now, where was I? Oh yes, the Kyuubi was ripped out, which would normally kill a host, but that's why our clan was so preferred for the Kyuubi. We have a really strong life force, so I managed to survive that, but I was really weak, and we thought I would end up dying, not getting any medical attention. I was going to sacrifice myself by taking the QB back in me. I'll get to why later, but Minato thought it best that you be the new Jinchuriki to prepare for a fight that's coming sometime in the future, but we would be there. A resonance? A ripple, no. She screwed her face as she thought for a moment, moving a hand to stroke her hair before recalling that she was in her son's body and did not have near as much hair as normal. She shook her head, letting out a brief chuckle before continuing. Well, I suppose shadow would be the best way to describe it. A shadow of ourselves to help you control the QB's power. When the time came, but it would be a shadow at twilight, already stretched and disappearing, not around for long. Instead, Hinata here seems to be suggesting that I'm more like a shadow at dawn, getting stronger. But it doesn't make any sense. She shook her head before the Sandaime cleared his throat. If I may make a suggestion? Oh, by all means, Sarutobi. Would I be correct in saying that Minato used the dead demon seal that takes souls and moves them around? If you were, perhaps, not as bad off as the two of you thought, it's possible that your life force entered Naruto, not as a dying person, but a person who still had a much life to live. In that case, while as a shadow you would still have dissipated, as the dominant force inside Naruto's body, your chakra network is once again acting as the living person that you are. Kushina pursed her lips again. I suppose that that's possible. She shook her head. Figures. And here I thought I was dying. Guess that was just the after effects of labor. And having the QB pulled out like that. So, does that mean you won't leave me? Oh heck no. Not until my chakra runs out on its own anyway, but like this? Well, I imagine you want back into your body, don't you? Of course I do. Believe it. Kushina's lips twitched. Believe it? Gosh, I guess you really do take after me. She sighed. And here I had hoped you'd take after your dad. Oh, who was he? Can you tell me, Ka-san? She looked back and forth between the wide-eyed boy before her and the Sandaime. Hiruzen. I wasn't going to tell him just yet. Though the village has not been terribly kind to him, I thought it would be worse if they knew his parentage, so I was waiting. As his mother, however, it is your choice. Still, I would like to hear more about whoever it was that you say took the QB out of you. The dead Kunoichi thought for a moment. Yes, I suppose that should take precedence. Naruto, how about you and Hinata go outside for a bit? I understand you have a discussion to finish, don't you? Don't worry. I'll still be here when you get back. The two genin blushed. Hi, Uzumaki-san, Hinata said, bowing as she left, waiting for Naruto outside the door. Naruto lingered. Mom, how do I? You know. She put her hand on his. Do you like her? I think so. Then give it a chance. You never know until you try. I almost pushed your dad away, but he came after me anyway. Now go and give it a shot. I'll be here later, and I'll stay here for any advice you need, just like I wish I could have done these past 12 years. Naruto nodded, giving his mom one more hug before leaving. He paused in the doorway, turning once more before leaving. You know, it feels weird calling my own body mom, but it feels nice. The two adults look after him as he left, calling out for Hinata. He's a good boy, you know? Yes, so he is, she said, smiling softly. After another moment, the Hokage coughed. Now, I believe you had something to tell me of the night you gave birth? Kushina nodded grimly. Yes, I did. The Uzumaki steeled herself. The night I gave birth. Naruto and Hinata walked quietly down the road as they left the hospital, nerves nearly palpable between them. As the air hung tensely between them as Hinata waited for Naruto to speak, almost jumping on her heels, having received the assurance that he planned to speak about them before they even left the hospital, but he had not yet managed to speak on the matter. Instead, he was looking determinately at the ground every time Hinata glanced over at him. They didn't head anywhere in particular, instead just walking wherever their feet took them. I wonder, what if he's decided? What if he's going to say no? After all, he probably still likes Sakura-chan. She is very pretty. He's not normally one to hesitate to say something, unless he's actually afraid of hurting someone. Hinata wiped away a tear that began to form. No, I can't cry about it. Naruto wouldn't cry if we were reversed, so I can't either. What do I say? How do I say it? Mom said that since I like her I should give it a chance. But how do I actually say it? He shook his head. Sheesh, this is stupid. Am I really gonna let myself freeze up like this? I'm Naruto. I say what's on my mind, and I don't care what anyone else thinks. Just as he began to open his mouth, he shut it again. Much quicker than it opened. Hinata? I thought you were on a mission. And who is this accompanying you? Naruto's and Hinata's eyes both widened. Tusan. Hokage-sama, he requested my services and sent Haku-san to fetch me for the task. Hayashi raised an eyebrow. Haku? And why have I not seen you before on the Genin roster? Naruto bowed. Hayashi-san, Sama, he said. A small nudge from Hinata correcting him, for which action she began to blush. When Team 7 went on a mission to Wave Country, I met them and was inspired to become a shinobi. Oh? And how is it that a civilian would immediately be raised to the rank of Genin? Well, you see, sir, I have been trained before by my master. He died in Wave Country some time ago, but he was able to teach me the basics. Hayashi nodded. I suppose that would do it. And I suppose Hataki-san is sponsoring you? Yes, it sounds like something he would do. Very well, I hope you enjoy the village. Are you escorting Hinata back to her team now? Or are the two of you still doing some work for the Hokage? We were heading back. Tusan, Hinata replied. Haku-san is still trying to find his way around, though, so I was telling him about the village. That is good. I wish you well. Don't forget to spare some time to wash up before dinner. Hinata. After all, we are having guests from the capital tonight. We must make a good impression. Good day, Haku, he said, inclining his head as he walked past them. Hinata nodded back, avoiding her father's gaze as Naruto bowed to the man. Hinata's father. I almost forgot that the Hyugas really like being proper all the time. Hinata's just so nice, she always accepts everyone anyway. Still, Hayashi-sama. The man craned his neck around in surprise. Yes, Haku? Is there something you need? Naruto took a deep breath before bowing again. I would like permission to date your daughter. Hiruzen tapped his fingertips together again. He'd been doing it a lot the past hour as Kushina gave him every detail of giving birth, including what Minato had told her about his fight with the masked Uchiha. So, is it Madara? Or isn't it? He sighed. I suppose I should be thankful to have even learned this much more than what I did. Naruto will soon be in danger of far more than I ever imagined. I'm sure. Kushina nodded. Yes, he will be, but he'll be fine, I know it. And so did Minato. Sarutobi nodded, leaning back. Yes, I can understand why. I wish Jiraiya had told me of this prophecy, though. I would have liked to dash. Ka-san. Ji-san. I'm back. Naruto came rushing through his door, skidding to a halt several feet from the hospital bed. Sorry, lady. Sorry, Ji-san. I guess you moved rooms around. What room is Ka-san in? Kushina laughed. No, Naruto, you're in the right place. I just didn't want you to feel as weirded out, so I used the transformation jutsu to take on what I really look like. Wait. What? You're Ka-san. She nodded. This is what you really look like? She nodded again, both adults biting back a chuckle at the stunned look on the boy's face. Why couldn't I have had your hair? It's beautiful. Kushina suddenly got flustered as the Hokage laughed heartily. Well, I think I'll get going now, he said, standing. I'll let you two talk for a while I get back to my office. If you wouldn't mind, for the moment I'd prefer for you to stay here, Kushina, just to ensure that there is no confusion for anyone, and we can start tackling Naruto's problem again tomorrow morning. Kushina nodded. a red tinge still evident in her cheeks. Naruto sat down on the bed next to her. So, how did it go? She asked after the Hokage left the room. Well, it was really hard at first. I mean, even with what you said, I realized that I had no idea what I should say to her. I mean, it's not like I haven't told Sakura-chan that I like her. But Hinata, well, it just felt different, I guess, knowing that she likes me. His mother chuckled. I think I understand that. I had a few friends that had trouble hooking up when they were younger, too. First crushes are actually a lot easier to deal with, I think, than second crushes. Naruto cocked his head. Maybe. How many did you have before Dad? And who was he anyway? Kushina blushed. My first, actually. But I'm not ready to tell him that. Distraction. Well, you haven't finished telling me how things went with Hinata, you know? Naruto stared. You know? Oops, she said, blush refusing to let up. I guess I never got over that. It's just, whenever I get exciting I start to talk fast, and it just slips out, you know? Naruto's lips twitched. Yeah, I know. Believe it. Laughing and feeling more at ease, her blush began to recede again. Well, it sounds like you got a lot of habits from me, but since we have time we'll talk about that later. Now tell me about Hinata, you know? Well, we were walking along for a while, and I was just getting fed up with myself for being so chicken and not saying anything. It's just not me. Believe it. But then, right when I was about to say something, her dad of all people shows up and starts interrogating me. Man, it was weird, Hinata's old man being like that, when she's so sweet. I forgot how crazy the Hyuga are sometimes. Hinata's still cool, though. Kushina chuckled as her son continued. So then, he was leaving and I thought, those Hyuga really have this we have to be careful about everything thing. And I was like, if I really want this to work, I better do it right. So I called after him, bowed, I hate bowing by the way, and asked if I could start dating his daughter. That's when Hinata fainted. What? She fainted? How come? Naruto scratched his head. Well, I think it's my fault, actually. I was talking about it with Sakura, after I told her what happened with me and Hinata the first time, and she told me that Hinata's just real shy, and I don't hear other people talking about her doing that, so I'm guessing it's me. Her dad thought so, too. And? What did he say? His mom watched as Naruto shuddered. Well, first he gave me their glare, like he was gonna squash me like a bug. Then he shook my hand and said he'd carry Hinata to wherever her team was. That's it. Nah, he told me that he needed to set some rules, especially since they don't know anything about me really. Just in case. I'm going to be going there after team training tomorrow. I think, before I take Hinata out. Kushina shook her head. Those Hyugas. Snobby idiots. Just make sure you're on your best behavior. Okay? What's that supposed to mean? Calm down, Naruto. That's just what moms say to their boys. She shook her head. At least, that's what I always thought I'd say to my boys. Guess I'll just have to settle for now. Now, as I was saying, the Hyugas are real proper and everything, so make sure you observe proper etiquette. Okay. Yeah. Sure, Mom. Do you even know what that means? Naruto laughed nervously. No, not really. What does it mean? The woman smiled and shook her head again. Yup, it's official. You are definitely my son. We've got a lot to go over before tomorrow, and we have to make sure you have some nice clothes. You have plenty of clean underwear, right? Sue, how was your date? Naruto blushed, smiling widely even as he scratched the back of his head. It was pretty awesome, he said. Hinata-chan was as red as your hair all night, but she looked real happy too. And you? Naruto's smile spread to his eyes, becoming softer. She's really pretty awesome, I think. I mean, I always knew she was nice, but she always seemed like a really dark, gloomy girl. Still, I think no. I know I like her. He looked up. Does it always feel this weird? Like your heart wants to jump out of your chest, but it's sitting in your stomachy at the same time. Kushina laughed as she pulled her son over to sit on the bed rather than standing there. Oh Naruto, that's always the way it should feel. But you get used to it. In fact, after I fell in love with your father, it only got stronger. Oh, I forget to ask yesterday. But I always knew. That was something I wanted to ask if I ever met you. Eh? How you met Dad? Come on. Tell me. Ah, that's kind of embarrassing. You know? Aha. You said, you know. You're excited. More like embarrassed, you know? She laughed anyways. Well, I guess we've got the time. Still, I'd like to see you looking like yourself this time. Oops. Sorry, Mom. I guess I just forgot. Naruto looked down sadly. I guess. I've just gotten used to looking like this now. Kushina enveloped her son a hug. Naruto, Sandame-sama is doing all he can to get you back, and I'm thinking it through, too. In fact, I think I already have a good idea, but dash. What? Really? Naruto jumped up, excited by the prospect. Do you know what's going on? You can fix it? I can be back in my body again. Naruto, calm down, you know? She sighed. It has to do with being an Uzumaki, but I'll wait to explain till Sarutobi-sama gets here. He said he'd drop by tonight and I only want to go over it once. How about we go over your dad's story first, okay? I don't know yet how to get you back in, but I'm gonna do everything I can to help. Until then, let's just relax and talk. Okay? Naruto looked away, drawing in a few deep breaths, clenching and unclenching his hands before speaking again. I'm sorry, Mom. I feel bad being in Haku's body. I want to give it back to him, but for now we're stuck like this. I just want to say I'm sorry, but then again, if this hadn't happened, I guess we wouldn't get to talk. Huh. Well, we would have eventually, but I like this better. Naruto nodded. Yeah, me too. So, how about that story? He said, sitting on the bed again. Aw, can't I see what my son looks like first? Kushina whined. Ah, sorry Mom, I forgot. Transform. Kushina looked oddly at her son for a moment. Wow, you really do look a lot like your dad, don't you? Eh, do I? His mother nodded. Yeah, you do. I'm sorry to say that you got my eye and face shape, though. Minato was really handsome. Me? Not so much. Ah, come on, Mom. You're gorgeous. I knew it from the second I saw the real you. Didn't anyone else ever tell you that? His mother blushed. Well, actually, when I was younger, my face was quite a bit rounder. When I first came to the village, the other kids called me the tomato. For the next half hour, Naruto learned the story of his mother's youth and the shock of his full parentage. To learn that his hero, the fourth Hokage, was also his father shocked him to no end. It took several minutes of comfort hugs to calm him down when he realized that it was his own father that had sealed the Kyuubi inside of him. He enjoyed the most the story of how his parents fell in love, laughing that his signature color was that of his parents' combined colors. Having transformed so his mother could see what he normally looked like, Kushina chuckled at how interesting life could be. He was deathly quiet as she told him in detail the circumstances surrounding his birth, for once listening quietly as she related the story to him. So this guy, what does he want? The woman's face scrunched up as she considered the question. Really? I don't know. But Minato and I both believe that you are the child of prophecy that Jiraiya heard of, and that man is the one who will try to throw the world into war. Minato gave you the Nine Tails as a gift to help you save the world, and to show you that we believe in you. Still, Naruto replied, hanging his head. What if I can't? What if Dad was wrong? Oh, I doubt that, Kushina said jovially. Minato was a very smart man, and his intuition has proven to be right every time I can think of. He believes in you and so do I. We know that you'll be able to handle whatever the world throws at you. Now come here, she cried out, launching a surprise attack as she grabbed him and began tickling her son. Ah, Mom, new. Naruto fought valiantly, but he was no match for his mother. It was to this scene that the Hokage arrived several minutes later, cheerfully amused. It seems you two have been enjoying your time together. Should I come back later? Ah, Hokage-sama. Ji-san. The two of them quickly moved to sit in a less zany manner than their tickle contest had left them in. It surprised Hiruzen that no one had come in and checked the scene with all the fuss the two of had made. Please sit down, Kushina said, still flustered over having been caught in such an unadult manner. The Hokage graciously accepted the seat, acting as though he hadn't witnessed the two combatants a moment ago, much to the Uzumaki's relief. Well then, as I told you yesterday, I have reached a point where I am completely stumped in regards to Naruto's unique ability. You inferred the other day that you might have an explanation of sorts. Kushina nodded. Yes, I do, but I haven't worked out a solution as yet. You recall that I myself had a unique ability, one that incited Kumo's attempted kidnapping, as well as making Mai an ideal Jinchuriki. Are you referring to your chakra chains, then? I had considered that, but I decided there was no connection. Are you saying that there is? The red-haired woman nodded. Yes, there is. It was something that we didn't exactly publicize, but it has a connection to our sealing techniques. Our longevity is one thing that was S result of the workout clan did. Not having any natural bloodline, my ancestors managed to work a way to actually alter the body using seals. This was the source of our strong life force and longevity, and it had an additional side effect that was less consistent. Seals can do that? The Hokage shook his head in amazement. All the skills your people had, all the things we thought we knew, and we didn't know anything it seems. Even in our own clan, many did not know these things. I wouldn't know them except that Mito-sama told me before she died, when she was comforting me about my future as a Jinchuriki. I see. So what was this other side effect you mentioned? It began subtly in earlier generations, but the seal not only enhanced our vitality, it preserved it, so to speak. The talents of the parents could, in a form, be inherited by their children. It is not consistent, but it is our bloodline. Wait, we have a bloodline? Naruto stared at his mother in complete shock at the revelation. All his life, though he had been proud of his Uzumaki name simply because it was his, had never imagined that he had come from a clan. Much less that his clan had a bloodline, like Sasuke, or Haku, or Hinata. Yes, we do, but not in the same way as other clans do. It isn't something that the parent can necessarily help the child learn to wield. My mother, your grandmother, she explained, told me once that her father had worked a lot with metal in his jutsus. She had the ability to manipulate metal even more with her bloodline, and I, as I told you earlier, can shoot out chains made of chakra from my own body. So, are the chains metal then? Kushina shook her head. No, that ended with your grandmother. My blood took on the form of her manipulation, the form of the chains she always used, and allows me to create a chakra form of them stronger than any real chain and lasting as long as I have concentration to spare. I see. Sarutobi tapped his fingertips together as he processed the information. So, each generation inherits an aspect of the previous one's talents, but it remains unpredictable, yes. So Naruto, he did not chain the ability to manipulate his chakra but rather to send it out. Kushina bit her lip, wagging her head back and forth slightly in indecision. Yes and no. While Naruto's chakra cannot take physical form in the way my chakra can, it rather forms itself into his target. Naruto's bloodline, as near as I can tell, has taken on my ability to push itself out, but instead of being formed, it takes form. Whatever, or perhaps only whoever, he uses his bloodline on, he takes possession and controls it as much as I did my chains. What? The Hokage spread his arms wide, indicating that he was still having trouble grasping the concept, and that Kushina should be the one to try explaining it again. It's like a glass, she said. You, Naruto, are a glass, and you have water, okay? Okay. Right, glass with water, and the water is your chakra. However, unlike a normal glass, you can move around on your own. So if you find another glass, you can decide to pour your water into another cup. But doesn't that mean that we get mixed up? No, I would say no. You have complete control of this body, so I would say that while your water joins in with the water in glass, the water in the glass loses its identity, but because you put yourself in it, you know which bits of water are your own, so you maintain control. Huh. I guess that makes sense. So, how do I get back? His mother shrugged sadly. I don't know yet. I'm trying to figure it out, still. Without you here in me, I don't have access to your memories like I do the QB. Still, this could help us get you closer to getting back in here, and then learning how to use this ability better. No, I don't want to take people over like that. It's wrong. Kushina reached over to hold Naruto's arm, but he shook it off, standing up. I just want to be back in my body. It's great being able to see you, Mom, but once I'm back, I'm never taking away someone else's dream again. Naruto. Let him go, Kushina, the Hokage said gently as Naruto left the room. Naruto is a very innocent young man, and it tears him up to be as his is. Let him be, for now. But the look in his eyes, he hates me now. No, he doesn't. He hates himself, he said. I've been watching the boy for a number of years now, and I can tell you that I've only seen the look of hate for someone else once. For a teacher that betrayed him in the worst way. To have someone say they love him, and it be his own mother he has been without for so long? I don't think he could ever hate you. Give him time and he'll be back. All right, she said, slumping down in depression. But how can it hurt like that? My son leaving me? The Hokage blinked back his own tears. You know, one of my sons left me once, he said. But just like Naruto will, he came back, and he was a wiser man for it. We may want to hold and guard our children, keeping them from the mistakes we've made, but one thing you get to learn as a parent is that your children, just like yourself, will go on to make mistakes of their own. Some will be the same and some will be different. We can't control them, but we can teach them and give them the knowledge of our own experiences. After that, we pray that they remember the lessons we taught. We give them what they need, then let them loose on the world, and they become their own great men and women, despite all of our meddling. I wish I could have seen him grow up, she said. Well, he still has several years left, the Hokage said, smiling. Given the unique circumstance the two of you find yourselves in, I would say you still have a number of years left to live together. It may not be like a normal family, but then again, Naruto is anything but normal. He stood. I have some ideas I think I'll look into now before I go home. My advice for you. You may not have access to Naruto's memories, but as I recall, Naruto isn't the only full-time resident in that body. Good night. Kushina watched him go, head cocked to the side. Not the only resident. Seems to me that I need to pay a visit to an old friend. Naruto walked around the darkened village. It had already been late in the day when he ended his date with Hinata. Spending time with his mother had given the sun plenty of opportunity to sink below the horizon. The days were still long, though, so despite the late hour he was able to see a touch of yellow on the horizon from his vantage point. I don't know, Dad, he sighed. I mean, I get that ninja are supposed to, kill people and everything, but still, this feels wrong. I don't want this ability. Heck, I don't even know how to use it anyway. For all I know, I might still be stuck like this anyway, and it will never matter. He broke off for a moment to dry his semi-leaky eyes. Haku, he was a really nice guy. He had dreams just like I did, but now, because of me, they're gone. I just took them away, maybe forever. How am I supposed to deal with that? And how can I even think about using this ability again? Well, sometimes, it's not about the dreams you take away, but the ones you save. Naruto jumped, looking back up the mountain to see Iruka leaning over the edge of the yandame's head. Iruka-sensei, what are you doing here? Iruka shrugged. Oh, I just come around here to take a walk sometimes, especially after a test day. Those academy kids can be a handful, just like Naruto was. He scratched his chin. I heard you talking while I was up here, but until I got to the edge it wasn't very clear. Still, I'm guessing it has something to do with what happened when you and Naruto met up. Come on up and we'll talk about it. Okay? Naruto nodded, gulping. I thought he heard me. Guess my secret's still safe. He felt a mixture of relief and frustration at the same time, wishing he could tell this man, this teacher who was like his older brother he never had, the truth of his situation. Once at the top of the monument, the two began walking back to the village as Irika insisted it was late enough that Haku should be getting home to prepare for the next day's missions. So, someone got hurt it would seem. What happened? Just take your time. Naruto nodded, thinking carefully for several moments before he began. My mom, she was from the land of water, he said. Back when they had the bloodline purges. Irika winced. I think I could venture a guess about your mom. Then, she had a bloodline? Naruto nodded. Yeah, she did. She hid it, though, tried to pretend she didn't. She hoped that I would never have it either, I think. Or maybe she had hoped that I would never learn how to use it. But still, one day, I realized I could do something special. I was just playing around in the snow. My mom, she tried to stop me, but I guess I wasn't very good at listening to her. Naruto blinked back tears as he recalled how, not too long ago, he had almost run from his real mother's presence. He knew, from what Haku said, that the other boy actually had listened, but it had been too late. But as he thought about it now, wasn't he treating his own mother unfairly? Haku, even at that young an age, listened to his mother, and here Naruto was, having the mother he always dreamed of having, and he hadn't given her time to talk. He hadn't listened. He had run. He jumped as Irika put a hand on his shoulder. You know, parents only want what's best for their kids. Sometimes it means making hard decisions, but they do the best they can for us. My parents, they died when the QB attacked 12 years ago. It was a hard time for me, but I still remember the words they told me the last time I saw them, almost throwing me away from them as I tried to stay close during the battle. It's the parents' job to protect their kids. He smiled. I miss them, but I know they were doing that they were pushing my away at time because they loved me even though it seemed harsh to me at the time. I'm sure your mom wasn't trying to scare you or anything, and I'll bet she'd be happy that, whatever happened to her, you're still alive. Naruto nodded, wiping away some more tears. I guess I should apologize to her later. She wouldn't tell me to do anything she didn't think would keep me safe and happy. So, what happened next? Huh? Oh yeah, right? Naruto continued to mix truth with lie, saying that he traveled as an orphan, finding his way to the Wave Village. He had been happy, he said, living with the bridge builder's family, but when the bridge was attacked, he wanted to help, just like everyone else in the village. I knew I had this power, he said, and Kakashi-sensei is helping me learn how to use it, but I didn't use it right. Back then. He took a deep breath, preparing his next lie. I ended up being the one to hurt him, Naruto, to knock him unconscious. He's in a coma now because I didn't know what I was doing. Now I've got people telling me I have a gift, a power I should use, but it scares me, and I don't want to take away someone's future like I did Naruto's again. Yurika's forehead crinkled as he thought through it all. He had wondered why the boy went to the hospital so often. Now he knew. Guilt. He shook his head. Wait here, just second, he said, walking into one of the late-night stores nearby. Naruto stared at his disappearing teacher, wondering where the man was going, and hoping that, telling the lie as he had, the man wouldn't now avoid him. He didn't want to be living without such a great friend in his life. Irika hating him for hurting himself? That would be hard. He breathed a sigh of relief as the man came out again. What had he been doing in there? Here, Irika said, smiling as he broke apart the popsicle sticks. Have one. What? Irika laughed. Well, I would treat Naruto to ramen when he felt down, but Ichiraku's is closed, so I thought maybe you'd like something icy instead. Naruto's lip twitched, hinting at a grin as he accepted his half of the treat and they continued their walk. You know, Naruto wasn't the kind of guy to hold a grudge. In fact, next to shouting out his own dreams, he actually liked encouraging others. Whatever got him attention really, he said, chuckling. One time he actually painted the Hokage faces, just a few days before he became a ninja. It was quite the sight to see, and I'm still surprised he managed to not get caught till near the end. He was an impressive guy. You thought it was funny? Well, not at the time, but I laugh now, he said. And that's just what Naruto's going to do when he wakes up. He sit up, look around, run away for fear of getting a shot, then hop right back into things, telling you were stupid for ever worrying about whether he would wake up. This is Naruto, he declared. And if nothing else, Naruto knows everything there is to know about beating the odds. So stop feeling guilty about him, he'll be fine, I know it. Besides, sometimes, ending one dream makes a lot available. That Gato guy? He's dead now. You don't think he had a dream? Of course he did, but it wasn't a good one. If this ability of yours can be used to preserve good dreams, I don't think you should fear it. It's a part of you just like your mother is in your heart. Don't fear it. Embrace it and focus on the dreams you can save instead of the ones you might stop. That is the essence of being a ninja, to preserve dreams, like my parents did for me. Naruto startled the young man, tutting to hug him tightly. It reminded him of Naruto. Then again, Naruto was the one who inspired the kid anyway. Thank you, sensei. I think I need to hear that. Irika patted the boy on the head. Hey, don't worry about it. You are Naruto's friend, so you're my friend, too. Just don't give him reason to regret anything once he wakes up. Got it. Got it. All right, well, we're back our complex now, and I've got lessons to teach. Good night, Haku. Naruto bowed. Good night, sensei. I'll make sure that Naruto doesn't have anything to regret. I know, the Chunin said as he walked to his apartment. I know. Yeah, I guess so. Naruto chuckled. Guess sensei's still awesome. Well, got to get some sleep, he thought, putting his hands behind his head. I did tell Hinata I was going to pick her up for breakfast. Maybe we'll get takeout and go visit Mom. Kakashi looked up from his book as he continued to walk through the village. The cool morning air and crisp breeze were very soothing, helping distract him from the guilt that plagued him each time he woke up and his friends didn't. He sighed, trying to loose himself in his book until his ears caught a familiar voice nearby. I bought them for you, didn't I? Just have them. I mean, they are good for breakfast, aren't they? But I really shouldn't. Kakashi lowered his book, raising his eyebrow at the sight of Naruto and Hinata walking down the road. The boy was holding a cinnamon bun out to her, obviously taken from the top of the boxes he was carrying. A breakfast date? Yo, Haku, what are you doing? This isn't going to make you late for our time meeting, he said mischievously. Ah, sensei, I thought you were still asleep at this hour. Why are you up so early? Kakashi fought back the sweat drop. Ma, I'm always up on time. I just have to find good deeds to do is all. And you didn't answer my question. Naruto blushed a little. Hinata blushed a lot, poking her fingers together. Yeah, we are, Naruto replied. Hinata's been great, but even though she likes cinnamon buns, she says she shouldn't be having any. I see. Hinata, usually when a boyfriend buys you something, it's a good idea to take it. Shows you appreciate the thought. Boyfriend. Steam began to come out of Hinata's ears as she poked her fingers together hard enough to crack a walnut. Sensei, we aren't that official yet. I just barely got permission from Hayashi-sama to go on dates with Hinata-chan at all. Kakashi chuckled. Might want to calm down. Wouldn't want anyone to mistake you for Naruto, would you? The boy winced. I hate you, sensei. I think I said the same thing to all three of you once, didn't I? He shrugged. No matter. Where are you headed, though? Wouldn't it have been easier to stay at the restaurant to eat? The pregnant pause was much heavier than Kakashi could ever have expected. Sensei, did you ever know who my parents were? Yes. Why? Naruto stayed silent for another moment until Hinata gently put a hand on his, the one holding the bun he had been trying to convince her to take. He shook his head as she smiled at him and took the cinnamon bun. Thanks, Hinata, he said before turning back to Kakashi. Back to what you were saying, Sensei. Hinata and Jisan know already, But I want you to know, too. We're having breakfast at the hospital with Naruto, he said. I'd like for you to come. Kakashi scratched his chin. I don't know. We do have a team meeting in a little while after all. Naruto stared at him, unamused. Haha. Well, I guess I could spare a little time to visit Naruto. Here, I'll even take your takeout off your hands, he said, taking the box so Naruto's arm was free. Thanks, sensei. Now let's go. Kushina was smiling as she read a book the Hokage had brought for her. She was laying on her belly, kicking her legs in the air. She had transformed to her usual body because she had always liked playing with her hair when she read. This had been one of her favorites when she was a child, The Legend of the Uzumaki. The story featured the founder of her old village who had been the daughter of a senju before finding her true love and founding the village with him. She giggled as she came to the part where they first kissed before snapping the book shut and hiding it under her pillow. Some seemed to be at her door about to come in. She wasn't sure if it would be Naruto, even though she hoped it was. But she didn't want Naruto to see that book. It was mild, but she was pretty sure it had given Jiraiya some of his ideas. So just don't freak out, okay? It's a long story, but what you're about to see is real. Okay, sensei. Who was Naruto talking to? Hinata already knew, and so did the Hokage, so who was this? Really, Naruto? I don't think that anything you could show me would be too. Kushina looked on in surprise to see her husband's former student. That explained why Naruto was referring to him as sensei at least. He had gotten quite tall compared to the shrimp he had been 12 years ago. Kakashi, meanwhile, had dropped the takeout bag he'd been carrying, too shocked to think. He looked back at the door number and started. Yup, this was Naruto's room. He looked back at the bed. Yup, that was Minato-sensei's wife and Naruto's mom. He pinched himself. Yup, he was awake. He fell over. Yup, he fainted. Didn't expect that, Naruto said from the floor he lay on, takeout box in his open palms. He dived to save Hinata's breakfast at Kakashi's initial shock. Well, really, Naruto, don't you think you could have given him more warning? After all, he was Minato's student. He, more than most, would be shocked by seeing me, I think. Kushina shook her head. You really took after me, didn't you? I think it's fine that Naruto took after you so much, Hinata said quietly as a light pink tinge covered her face. I suppose it could have been worse, she surmised. Still, we better get him up. She jumped off the bed. Being confined to a single room all day made it nice to be able to move around the room and exert herself, even if it was just to replace her body with the unconscious Kakashi's. He waited much more than he looked, she noted. Still, it gave her something to do other than face Naruto's reaction to what she'd said the day before. She was sure Hinata was the one who made him come so soon after his disagreement with her. After lifting the jounin to the bed, she cast her eyes about to find something to fill the gap in conversation. Oh, you guys are having breakfast? Where did you get it? You think I know the place? What are you having? Is it your favorite, you know? Mom. Kushina finally stopped as Naruto raised his voice. She fiddled with her hair nervously. Yes, Naruto? Mom, I wanted to apologize for yesterday. I'm just not used to the whole having a parent thing. I know that you look at things differently than me, but I was reminded that you only want the best for me. I'm still not comfortable with the idea of using this thing I have, but if you think it's for the best, as my mom, I'm going to trust you. Kushina stared at him for a moment, tears welling up in her eyes before she latched on and hugged him, sobbing into his shoulder. He stared at Hinata for a moment at a complete loss for what to do, before awkwardly putting his arms around his mother and hugging her. Oh, Naruto, I was so worried. I lost you before I ever got to know you, and because of that I thought I was about to lose you again. I'm sorry for not thinking of your feelings before I said anything. It's okay, Mom, really? She stepped back, wiping away her tears. I know, well, it's been rough, I was dead, never expecting more than a few moments together with you. And now I learn I may have my whole life with you again. I still don't know you very well, and once you get your body back, well, that's up to you, but I want to take every one moment I have to get to know my son better. Naruto smiled back at his mother as he replied. Yeah, me too. Oh hey, we brought breakfast. Can you tell Hinata the story about how you met Dad? His mother laughed at his excitement before sitting down in a chair, taking her proffered portion of the meal and launching into the story once again. You, Kakashi moaned as he rubbed his head. He must have fallen out of his bed. He swore he saw Kushina after walking with Naruto and Hinata to the hospital. That was one odd dream. He usually had nightmares about his sensei and friends dying because he was unwilling to help. This one, he shook his head, felt later in the day than normal. He might actually have to rush over to the team meeting. Oh hey, sensei's waking up, he heard Naruto call. Why was Naruto at his house? And since when did his bedroom let this much light in? Well, that's good. Isn't he already late for your team's meeting? Obito always used to be like that. Who's Obito? Kakashi shot up, eye wide open as he stared, once again, at the red-haired woman occupying the room, the one that should have been dead for the last 12 years. K. Kush? SH? Sheena? Yes, he's definitely awake, the woman said. Did you hit your head? Are you going to be all right? Hububa mahi hu ha hum bum biddle. I suppose I should explain to him what happened. Shouldn't I? Naruto asked. His mother shook her head. No, you and Hinata take some time alone. Sarutobi-sama was going to visit this morning, too. I'll start explaining and then the Hokage can confirm it. We'll make sure that he gets to your team later. Okay? Alright. Come on, Hinata-chan. I guess I'll drop you off for Ipper team meeting before heading to meet up with Sasuke and Sakura. Thank you, Naruto-kun. It was good to see you again, Uzumaki-san. You too, Hinata. Take care. Hinata and Kushina bowed to each other as the young shinobi left the room, leaving Naruto's mother behind with his sensei. All right, time to explain to you what's been happening the last few days, she said. It's too soon, Hayashi said. It just is not done anymore. Perhaps that is how some feel, but for one such as us, would it not be to our advantage? The man furrowed his brow as he considered the Hyuga counselor. It is possible, but we have no guarantee that it would end well. There are still too many factors, and no one to speak for the boy. Couldn't the Hokage speak for him? As an orphan? It might be possible, but even if the Hokage is old, that does not mean that he will be old-fashioned. We can put a swing on it then. Hayashi raised an eyebrow at the suggestion, waiting for the other man to explain. Well, he is an orphan, right? This would mean bringing him into a family that would seek his well-being and care for his needs, would it not? Hayashi rubbed his chin. Perhaps. Hinata would have to be amiable to it first, however, and we would need to ensure that the boy is ready to join a societal structure such as ours. If things are as have been described, I think young Hinata will not object. She seemed quite eager to go on this breakfast date with the boy only this morning. As for him, even if he is not ready, we could educate him. After all, if his blood were to be combined with ours, it would open up many new possibilities for us. Don't you think? The Hyuga clan leader sighed. Very well, I shall begin looking into it. Thank you for walking me, Haku-kun, Hinata said, bowing. Naruto scratched his head. It was nothing, Hinata-chan. Good luck with your team today. Maybe they'll actually give you guys a good mission, right? The girl smiled. Perhaps. Good day, Haku. You too, Hinata. The two parted, walking their separate ways as Team 8 wondered at Hinata's happy look. All right, Kiba, Shino, start off to the tower. I have something I need to talk to Hinata about. What about Sensherk? Come on, Shino said, grabbing Kiba by the collar. We have been given an order by our superior. It is best to obey orders. Okay. Fine. Let go of my collar. Arf. Good morning, Kurenai-sensei. Hinata, care to tell me anything about this new young man? Hinata looked up in surprise. Excuse me, sensei? I have a distinct recollection of you having an interest in Uzumaki Naruto, but now you seem interested in this new boy. I didn't take you for the fickle kind, Hinata. What happened? Oh, well that is, Kurenai rubbed her temple with a finger. Are you still interested in Naruto? Or are you not? Hinata blushed. Okay, and what about this boy Haku? Hinata's blush deepened slightly. How could she tell Sensei that she was actually dating Naruto now? It wasn't something she was allowed to talk about, not even with her father. Of course. Then what is it I saw this morning? Were you, or were you not, on a breakfast date with that Haku boy? Hinata blushed and hid her face at her sensei's accusation. Hinata! It's complicated, sensei. Please, don't ask. Kurenai tapped her fingers on her elbow for a moment. Fine, I'll let it rest for now, Hinata, but I warn you, it's going to blow up in your face if you don't do something about it soon. Hi, sensei. Thank you. Kurenai nodded to Hinata's bow. Fine, now let's go catch up with the boys. Hi, sensei. Hey, Haku. Where's sensei? And why are you so late? Naruto smiled as he greeted his teammates. Hee. Well, I guess I just managed to surprise sensei more than he was ready to be. Well, Hinata-chan and I went to have breakfast this morning, but we ran into sensei. After that, I took him to meet a recent acquaintance. He didn't take it well. Recent acquaintance? Since when do you talk like that? Naruto shrugged. I'm trying to make sure that there is enough differences to distinguish me, if you understand what I mean. It's hard, but sensei and I have been practicing. Hokage-sama, too. They said I need to try and extend it to everyone so that I don't slip up sometimes. Hokage-sama said I can only speak the other way around the recent acquaintance I mentioned earlier, though. Okay, I guess that makes sense, Sakura said. But who's the other person? Naruto scratched his head. I suppose I could introduce you, he said. Yeah, I don't think she'll mind. Maybe tonight after I'm done with training. His teammates nodded. All right, now I guess we just have to wait for sensei. Not sure how long he's gonna be. Oh, never mind. As Naruto was finishing, they saw Kakashi walking towards them in daze, not even holding his book as he was prone to doing. His one visible eye was glazed over and he kept walking into things as he got closer. Wow, Sakura commented. Sensei looks kind of drunk, don't you think? Ichin. Shocked, more like. Haku. Naruto grinned uneasily. Hee. Well, I suppose I might have had something to do with that. But he'll be okay, right, sensei? Naruto stared hopefully at his teacher, hoping for validation. The man nodded dumbly. Yeah, that's right. Naruto gulped. I guess. Maybe I can tell you later? It has to do with the person I was going to introduce you to. Sasuke glared at him in his usual fashion before nodding. Sure, I can wait. How's your problem coming, by the way? I'm sorry, Sakura said, putting a hand on Naruto's shoulder. It must be hard, dealing with that. Naruto smiled back gratefully. Thanks. Now, what should we do to snap sensei out of this? Kushina stood at the familiar bars. The Kyuubi's prison was a little different than it had been when it was within her, but the seal used had been a little different, and the whole essence of the Kyuubi had been inside her as well. She held back her tears at her loss of her family before a gleam, quite similar to Naruto's when he pulled a prank, came into her eye. She turned from the cage, away from the creature that had been refusing to help her and her son. She had another idea, something that would work just as well, if she could find him. Don't worry, Naruto. You'll get your body back, I promise. One way or the other, he will know. Hinata, come here for a moment. Hi, father, came the Kunoichi's reply. Wonder what he wanted to talk about. She hoped he wasn't going to change his mind about her dating Naruto, though of course he didn't know the truth of the matter. Talking about her performance was hardly a reason to speak to her in private. He had demonstrated on many occasions that he was willing to extol her weakness in public. She shivered as she considered the possibility of receiving the caged bird seal, as her uncle had. However, since she and Hanabi were girls, it was unlikely. Clan heads were typically men, so while in practice it would be one of the two of them, it would be one of their husbands who held the title officially. Hinata fought down a blush when she thought of Naruto as her husband, sighing at the impossibility. Even as he was now, he was an orphan. The clan would want her to marry someone of status, not an orphan ninja from another country. His loyalties could be too fluid, and he would have nothing to give to raise the status of the clan. Is it correct that Haku has a bloodline? Hinata's eyes revealed her surprise, though she did not hesitate to answer. Yes, father. The Hayutan. Hinata nodded. Yes, it would seem what I've heard is true. He sat for a moment, a small frown the only hint to his thoughts. Do you like the boy? Hinata also fell over. She hadn't been prepared for that question at all. Well, yes, I like him, a lot, came her stuttered reply, her face turning red. I thought so. That makes this. He shook his head. Never mind what I just said. Hinata, it has been proposed that you and Haku become betrothed, so that the Hyuga clan might benefit from having his technique combine with our own. Hayashi sighed as he watched his already embarrassed daughter turn redder and redder, awaiting her inevitable faint. I would not object. But Haku-kun might not want to. Hayashi raised an eyebrow. She was still conscious? He had thought, that Naruto boy. How unexpected. In truth, I did not think you would be ready for something such as this, but the clan desires it, so I have put the proposal at your feet, either to accept or reject. Bring this to Haku in whatever manner you wish. The Hokage can stand in for him in the betrothal ceremony should he accept. Hayashi stood. That is all I needed to speak with you about. You may return to your usual activities. He walked past her, marveling that she remained conscious, but he could also feel a slight depression radiating off of her. The boy had almost begged him to date her, but was she this unsure of his feelings? Naruto-kun. It would be a dream, but once you get your body back, it would all end. Several tears made their way down her face. Why couldn't they want us to marry? Why did it all have to happen this way? Darn it, Minato. I know you're in here somewhere. Now show yourself. Kushina shouted into the emptiness. He had to be there. She had been there just like him, but she had felt the Kyuubi taking control without the seal breaking down, and that meant it was her job. He had to ensure the seal's integrity, so he was still in the emptiness somewhere, still waiting. But she was tired of waiting. Namikaze Minato. Get your blonde but head out her right this instant. She growled as nothing happened for a moment. But then she felt a very familiar set of arms wrap around her. Minato, she whispered, reaching back to kiss her husband. Kushina, there isn't time. But there is. It didn't work out like we thought. I wasn't dying, so right now my chakra is getting stronger. You could do it too, then Naruto could have us both around, couldn't he? And you can help him get his body back. You know? Minato turned her around, shocking her with the grimness of his face. Kushina, we were wrong about you, but using the technique I did, I cannot replenish myself like you can. I will have to stay as I was, for Naruto. No. Kushina shook her head, crying and gripping her husband's shirt tightly. He gently wiped away her tears. Yes, that is just the way it is, but now you can still be his mother, and you can tell him how much I love him, and that I will be there for him. Get him ready for what's coming, in the way that I cannot. Minato, please. The blonde man lifted her chin, planting a light kiss on her lips. I'm sorry, Kushina, but we'll meet again, I promise. Just watch over Naruto, and look forward to that day. She nodded, crying a waterfall at the loss of her new hope. I will. Good. And don't worry. You found me, you can find Naruto's memory of his bloodline, too, he said as he began to fade away. She looked at him in shock. How did you know? He smiled and waved, disappearing again to wait for when Naruto would need him. Kushina dropped to her knees, crying out in her frustration and sadness for some time before standing once again, wiping away the tears. All right, Minato, I'm not giving up then. Like you said, I found you and you didn't even want to be found. Now I have to find that stupid memory. She sniffed as she began walking away. And I'm going to find a way to be with you again, too, Pincushion Head. So Haku, Naruto's looking pretty healthy, isn't he? Naruto nodded to Irika's question as he slowly finished his bowl, smiling in reply as he thought of his mother's healthy appetite. Apparently it was similar to his own. Yes, he is. Hokage-sama says that he believes Naruto will wake up. Things are looking pretty good. Yeah. So what's going to happen to you once he wakes up? Naruto paused. Huh. Well, Genin teams only have 4 squad members, and once Naruto wakes up there will be 5. Won't that cause problems? I can't see Naruto backing down, but I don't see where else you might fit in, either. Crap. I hadn't thought of that. What should I say? Naruto gulped as he came up with a lie. Well, I'm actually already Chunin ranked, he said, knowing that Haku was supposed to be really strong. But Hokage-sama thought being with Team 7 would be a good way to integrate into the village, until Naruto wakes up, that is. Chunin? Really? Irika whistled. That must have been some master you had back in Wave. Naruto smiled. Yeah, he was pretty strong. Gave Kakashi-sensei a run for his money. What? Irika was staring. He gave Kakashi trouble? Yeah, he did. Some. Kakashi-sensei was still more powerful, though. Just who was your master? Naruto shifted uncomfortably. I'm still not too comfortable talking about that. When he died, it was hard. For me. Irika nodded, even though his curiously was now immense. Okay, I can wait, but for someone to give Kakashi-san trouble, that's just wow. Naruto stood. Thanks for dinner, Irika-sensei. Oh, going already? You only had 2 bowls. Haku shrugged. Well, I don't eat as much ramen as Naruto. Right, sorry. Guess I'm just in the habit. Naruto smiled, bowing. Thank you, sensei, for the meal. Not a problem. Good night. Naruto has himself a good friend there, doesn't he? Yeah, he does, Irika replied to the female chef's observation. But thinking of Naruto made me hungry. How about another bowl? Sure thing, Irika-san. Hey, Mom. How you doing today, Mom? Naruto got nervous when he saw the sweat accumulated on his body's brow. The bed was also soaked. Mom! He rushed over to the bed in a panic, trying to remember first aid from the academy. Her felt his mother's pulse beating like a jackhammer in the wrist, and she felt hot as an iron. Crap! What do I do? MOM. He began to run to the door, but was stopped. No, stay. Almost done, just fine. Mom? Mom, what's going on? Why are you so hot? He paced the room frantically as she failed to answer, still sweaty and hot. He was scared out of his wits. What could it be that his mother was doing that was making her like this? It looked painful, to say the least. He continued his frantic pacing for several minutes before he heard a grunt and a sigh, then saw his body relax and sink into Teehee bed. Mom! He cried, rushing to her side. Mom, are you okay? What happened? Is anything wrong? No, it's fine, she replied, panting as she caught her breath. I was looking for how to get you back. Just need to rest a moment. Naruto nodded, sitting on the edge of the chair next to the bed as he waited for her to explain to him what had happened. Naruto, can you get the Hokage? He'll need to be here if I'm right. Huh? Oh, okay, sure. He went to the door and sent the message through the umbu as he continued to look over his mother, now very pale and clammy, even if she was smiling. Mom, what was going on? I don't want to explain it twice, so I'd prefer to wait until the Hokage got here, if that's all right, but I promise I'm okay. Is that enough? Naruto nodded, gripping his mother's hand. I can deal with that. It's just, I didn't know it was so scary, thinking you were about to lose your mom. Kushina started, staring at Naruto for a moment before pulling him into a hug. Oh Naruto, you know I promised I'd stay here. I'm sorry I scared you, but I think you'll like the result of what I was doing. Okay, he said, stifling his tears as he held her tightly. Okay. Kushina smiled as she held on to him, stroking his hair and trying to relieve his discomfort. A few moments later, the Hokage came in. I can't say how grateful I am that I had an excuse to cancel that meeting early, but I would like to know what was so important. Naruto? Kushina? Is everything all right? Kushina nodded as Naruto sat up again, wiping away the remnants of his tears. Yeah, we're good. I just Naruto a little scare. Did you now? So, did I come here for nothing? The woman laughed. No, I told him to get you because I've been traversing Naruto's memories stored in his brain, and I think I have figured out how he triggers his ability. What? Really? You think so? Naruto shouted, jumping up in excitement. That's awesome, Mom. You're awesome. Kushina blushed, scratching her head. Yeah, well, your dad gave me the hint, you know? Both the male's jaws dropped. Minato? You mean the yandame? Kushina nodded. But how is that? Well, then why isn't he Dash? He can't, she said, a tear falling down her face. He can't? What do you mean, Mom? Minato, he didn't go in with the same life force as you. It's because of his use of the seal, isn't it? Kushina shrugged. I guess. That sounds like what he said, but he only showed up for a moment to explain that he couldn't, do what I am. His chakra has to stay put away, for now, waiting for when he's needed. I see. Naruto, are you okay? Huh? Oh yeah, I guess. He shrugged apologetically. I don't know him like you, so it's not as big a deal if I can't see him now. He paused. I will get to see him though, right? Of course, Kushina smiled. One day you'll meet him, and you can talk with him yourself, but only for a bit. Then it's okay. I can wait. After all, as long as I have this jutsu, I've got you too, right? That's right, Naruto, the Hokage said, gripping Naruto's shoulder lightly. But you have your mother's love with you always regardless. Yeah, that's right. Now come give Mom a hug, you little brat. Kushina and Naruto both transformed to grip each other tightly, a moment the Hokage allowed them happily before calling it to an end. So, Kushina, you said you figured it out? What? Oh yeah, that's right. You see, I managed to access Naruto's memories, just like I can talk to the Kyuubi. Took a lot of effort, so I see, the Hokage mumbled, but I managed to find it, and after looking at it carefully over and over, I realized a few things. First, Naruto, of course, was moving his chakra. Also, he had direct eye contact with Haku, and his hand was in this position, she said, holding up her own hand like Naruto had done when Haku caught his fist at the bridge. Fingers extended, right above the face. His arm was at this angle, she continued, and his body, well, even though we can't be sure on any of these being key elements yet, and I'm pretty sure this isn't one of the important points, his body was at this angle. She sat down after posing for a moment. That's everything I got. The first three seemed the most important. Eyes catching the target could be for Naruto to actually overcome their own consciousness, and then his hand is directing the shaka, I think. Sarabody stroked his beard. Yes, that seems right. It makes sense. Naruto, do you want to try this now? Or do you need some time to prepare? Of course I wait, Mom. What if I can't do it again once I'm back in? What about you? Are you, okay, going back in my head? You won't have a body anymore. Kushina laughed. Naruto, I'm on borrowed time, and anytime you need me, I'll be right there, listening for your call, and ready to protect you if you need my help. Besides, she grinned evilly, it may be fun to use some of my spare time tormenting poor old Kyuubi. Naruto shivered. Moms can be really scary. Still. Oh, come on. Anytime you want to talk, just grab Kakashi or Sandame-sama or someone and we'll talk, face to face. Naruto gulped, nervousness building up. He wiped his sweaty hands on his shirt. But what if it doesn't work? What if something worse happens? Naruto, sometimes we must leap forward knowing only a little. Your father created many jutsus by doing so. Of course, he prepared as much as he could beforehand, but I believe that we are as prepared as we can be. And I believe in you. Naruto grinned weakly, but gratefully at the old man's words. Thanks, Ji-san. Ready, Mom? Kushina nodded, dispelling her transformation. Ready, she smiled. Besides, it's not like I'm going anywhere. Heh, right. Okay, here goes, he said, approaching the bed, looking over his shoulder. You'll catch Haku, right? It really took it out of me last time I did this. He'll probably be confused, too. The Hokage nodded. Of course. I'm right here. Okay. Soul transferring jutsu, here we go. Naruto and Kushina locked eyes, gazing intently at each other. Naruto raised his hand and began to pump chakra. His mother immediately corrected the errors in his hand posture and placed it closer to her face. Come on, let's not mess this up, she said smiling, giving him a thumbs up. Uzumaki's don't screw up. Naruto grinned back. Right, we give it our all. That said, he fluxed his chakra, drawing it up and aiming through his arm. Please work, and he shot it out, straight at his face. A few moments later, the Hokage looked over as Naruto moaned. Ugh, that did not feel good. Perhaps not, but at least you weren't out for very long. It's only been a couple minutes. Wait, so, did it work? The Hokage held up a mirror. Naruto stared, touching his face quietly. Wow, she was right. Mom was right. Mothers usually are, the old man chuckled. Hoo-hoo, yes, Naruto Uzumaki is back. Take that bloodline. Who's the boss now? Naruto continued to celebrate for several moments before another thought occurred to him. Wait, what about Haku? Is he okay? Well, he's healthy, he replied, gesturing to the room's second, usually empty, bed where Haku lay as quiet as a corpse, chest barely moving as he breathed in and out. It may be that the host takes longer to recover than the user, though I venture a guess that you yourself will manage to recover faster each time you use this ability. Yeah, I guess that makes sense, man. I think I'm gonna be able to sleep in my own bed tonight. Oh, wait. Maybe I can catch Irika-sensei and get him to treat me to some more ramen. See you later, Ji-san. Make sure Haku takes it easy till I visit him tomorrow. The Hokage laughed at the young boy's antics as he raced from the room, eager to enjoy the taste of ramen on his own tongue once more. He walked out the door and called for a nurse to help set Haku up properly and inspect him for any damage that Naruto's jutsu might have left in its wake. His complete effects were a virtual unknown. The nurse frowned as she inspected the boy. Hokage-sama, I don't know what to say, but she shook her head. I've seen him come to visit whoever was in this room before, completely healthy, but now. Hiruzen's heart froze. But now? Well, you see. Oh, Naruto, what am I going to tell Naruto? Sorry, but we just turned off the stove. Oh, Irika-san, what are you doing here? You know we're closed at this time of night. Irika smiled as he ducked into Tuchi's stall. Sorry, Tuchi-san, but I thought maybe you'd stay open a little longer, just for a special celebration. Eh? Celebration? Did you finally get yourself a girlfriend? No, 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 the teacher replied, waving his hand good-naturedly. I just thought you might want to be nice to your best customer. Ayam, who had gripped the pots she was carrying tightly at her father's question, almost dropped them as she looked over the men's shoulders and spied a blonde head. Ah, Naruto. Dad, it's Naruto. What? He exclaimed, poking his head around Irika. Well, I'll be. It is Naruto. Welcome back to the world of the living boy. You had us worried. Step on up and we'll get a bowl. Heck, I'll even give you the special ramen with everything. All right, Now you're talking, old man, Naruto shouted as he jumped up from behind Irika to sit on his favorite stool. Aw, my old seat. This is great. No kidding. The village just wasn't as bright without you around, Naruto. Yeah, I am agreed. I'd been noticing a distinct lack of orange. Hee hee, Naruto chuckled, scratching his head. Yeah, I have been out of it for a while, but, he continued, flashing them a thumbs up. Now I'm back. Uzumaki Naruto, future Hokage. They chatted for a while, enjoying some ramen before someone though to ask about Haku. Don't know, actually. He was still talking with Ji-san when I left, Naruto said. Felt weird. He'd gotten so used to lying about where he was, he had to quickly adjust to talking about Haku now. He frowned. He hadn't really stayed around long enough to talk to Haku. Sure, ramen was great, but really should have waited. He grunted in frustration. He'd spent the last several weeks learning about patience, and then he blew it all in one moment. He'd have to check in with Haku the next day. You know, he was almost as good a customer as you. Is that right? Naruto asked, sweating. Yeah, came around a lot, but he didn't manage to mooch any free bowls off of us. Except that first one, Teuchi said. Seems like he'd had a hard life before meeting up with you. I don't know about that, Naruto said. Haku was happy, I think, but that's his call, I guess. Of course. You know, he lives right by me. Irika spoke up. We'll all have to come here for ramen sometime. Yeah. That sounds great, the boy said, smiling weakly, moving to drain the broth from his bowl to cover it up. How was Haku gonna react to Naruto living his life? Making friendships for him and everything? He mentally shook his head, wishing he'd thought things through a bit better. Aha! That hit the spot. Thanks for the ramen, guys. No problem, Teuchi said, smiling cheerfully. Just make sure you keep coming back. Definitely. He hopped off the stool. Well, gotta get ready for training again. Got weeks of training to catch up on. Of course. Take care, Naruto. You too, Sensei Teuchi-san, I am San. Night. Good night, they chorused. Well, I'll tell Haku you said hi next time I see him, Irika said, also standing. I am replied, blushing. See you soon. With that, they finally closed up shop, all happy to see their favorite knucklehead up and around again, never realizing he hadn't left them in the first place. The next morning saw Hinata bowing to her father as she left to meet with her team. She seemed her usual cheerful if shy self, but turning inward she was filled with turmoil. She knew just as well as Naruto that he could be stuck in the other boy's body. In Haku's body, but then again he might be able to get out and back to his own. And now her clan wanted he to marry Haku Naruto. They had no idea the truth of the matter, and she feared Naruto's reaction. Just the other day, when his sensei had called them boyfriend and girlfriend, Naruto had vehemently denied it. She knew marriage was not on his mind, as happy as the idea made her, but she did not think he would like the idea. Not yet. It was too soon, that's what he would think. He would back off, separate himself from her. It might be best not to say anything, at least not for a little while. The Hyuga shook her head. No, that was not the way to think. Even if he backed off, Naruto, if he really liked her, wouldn't stay separated for too long. He was not someone to be scared off no matter what, because he had the spirit of a hero. He, unlike her, was full of courage. Naruto, grant me that courage now so I can tell you what my family wants us to do. Hinata, I was hoping to run into you. Good morning, Naruto-ku. Hinata's eyes widened. Naruto was Naruto. He was in his own body. At least she thought it was him. Could it be his mother was living his life now? Kushina. Naruto cocked his head to the side. Mom doesn't look like this. Why did you think it was Mom? Oh, sorry, Hinata said, blushing in embarrassment. Of course that wouldn't be the case. Kushina, while a lot like her son, was not him. If she had left the hospital, it would have been under a henge. So you got better, she said. That's goods. Hee hee. Yeah, isn't it? Naruto said, scratching his head and smiling brightly. Well, hey, I've got some time before Sensei makes it to my team meeting. Mind if I walk with you? Haku asked me to. Hinata nodded. Yes, that would be good. He fell in step next to her, asking her about her training and the village since he'd been sick, as though he had really been gone. As they neared Team 8's meeting place, however, Hinata paused. Naruto walked on for a few moments before realizing he'd left her behind. Hinata, you okay? Why, yes, Naruto-kun. I need to tell you something. Really? He asked, walking back to her. What's up? Some wrong? Hinata tapped her fingers together for a moment. Well, that is, my father, he wanted me to dash. Hey, Hinata. What are you doing? Hey, Naruto. Kiba came up behind the boy, throwing his arm around him. Naruto, it's good to see you up and about. Heard you were sick as heck. But you look pretty good to me. Hey, Kiba. Yeah, I was in a coma for a bit. Nasty hit to the head on a mission we had. What? How did you manage that? Kiba shook his head. Well, at least now you'll have an excuse for being so dumb. Nanny, take that back. Dog breath. No way, knucklehead. Hinata smiled, holding in a small giggle. The two were very similar sometimes, especially in the way they showed their friendship. She wasn't even sure they knew they thought of the other as a friend, but having been around them both long enough, she knew the real intent behind their banter. She stiffened. That feeling, on the other hand, was not so good. Naruto. Good to see you up and about again. I'm sure your team has been missing you. Oh, Kurenai-sensei. Yeah, I'm looking forward to get backing to mission, Databeo. I'm sure. Just don't overdo it. Your body will need to get back into shape after being in a coma for so long. She paused. I'll tell you what. I'll give you a few tips while I send my team on ahead, she said, pointedly looking at the three genin. Sure. Thanks, I guess. He waved to Hinata. Have fun today, Hinata-chan. Thank you, Naruto-kun. Yeah, take care, man. We'll see you later. Congratulations on your recovery, Naruto. Naruto flinched at Shino's remark, not having noticed him standing next to him until he spoke up and walked away. Man, that guy is really creepy sometimes, he muttered, turning towards Kurenai. So, you said you had some tips? The woman shrugged. Nothing I can tell you that Kakashi won't. It's something else I wanted to talk with you about, actually. You remember Haku, right? Yeah, of course. What do you think of Hinata? I noticed you walked her here today, and you called her Hinata-chan. Naruto gulped. Crap, I messed up. Kurenai doesn't suspect. Does she? Hinata is a good friend. She's really nice, and she visited me a lot, Jisen said. Do you know why? Because she's nice. She shook her head at the response. You've got to be, never mind. Naruto, I feel the need to tell you. Hinata has had a crush on you for a long time. That's why she visited you so much. Really? Naruto asked, thinking how awkward it was to pretend he didn't know this, but relieved she hadn't caught on. Yes, really. She has wanted to tell you for a while, but never managed it. And now her family is pushing for a relationship with this Haku boy. She stared right into his eyes. I don't know Haku, but I know he's hiding something. Hinata can't see it, but he is, and he's making her fall for him instead. I want you to get your butt in gear and take her away from him before she gets her heart broken. Naruto stood there for a moment. What should he say? How could he tell her to trust Hinata and protect Haku, but without blocking the way for him and Hinata have the exact relationship Kurenai wanted for them, but they really already had? Sensei, you can't make people like you know? You can't make people like each other. It has to be natural. Yeah, I like Hinata, but I can't make her feel a certain way. It's got to be her choice, but something behind her back. I respect her too much for that. He turned to walk away. Besides, I do know Haku, and he's a good guy. If he doesn't think it's for her best, he'll back off on his own. Don't worry. I hope I said it all okay. how should handle such a crazy situation. Anyway, Naruto, you really are the most unpredictable ninja, aren't you? Kurenai mused, thinking of how Kakashi had described his student. I still don't like it, but I guess you're right. That doesn't mean I'm for Haku, but I'll let Hinata make her own decision, she decided, walking to meet her team. I just hope she makes the right one. Hey Naruto, I can't believe it's you. Yeah. Who would have thought you'd manage to get yourself out of that mess you were in? Hey, come on guys. Have a little faith, why don't ya? Chill out, Dobe. We're just happy you got things fixed. Well, that's what we hope. Anyway, came their sensei's voice as he crouched on one of the arches spanning the bridge. Kakashi-sensei, how you doing? You're on time. It was a mark of their surprise that all Sasuke and Sakura could do was nod dumbly. Yes, well, Hokage-sama wanted me to advise you to meet with him. How is Kushina-san, by the way? Oh yeah, I haven't really tried to talk to Mom since, I don't want to run out her battery. Kakashi nodded. Probably wise. He hopped down from the arch. Well then, come on. We're going to meet with the Hokage today. Why? Because, Kakashi shrugged, putting off the question. It's going to be hard to prepare him, and I don't know how to do that. I just hope he doesn't take it too hard. Thank you, this will be helpful, I think. Now, if you could just dash. Hokage-sama, a moment of your time, please. Sarutobi looked up in surprise to see Hayashi striding towards him, in the middle of the hospital. I could spare a moment. My person of interest won't be going anywhere, I don't think. Thank you, the Hyuga nodded. I understand you know the boy Haku, at least in passing. That is true. I met him after. Naruto persuaded him to join the village and have had a hand in helping him settle in. Did he tell you about his meeting with me? Yes, that's right. He is dating your daughter now, is that right? Correct. The clan looks favorably on the relationship, so hearing that Haku is in the hospital has drawn a degree of dash. How did you know about that? The Hokage asked, cutting him off. Hayashi showed little reaction. The Hyuga have many connections in the village, and members of the clan council took it upon themselves to keep appraised of the boy's situation. Hence, his sudden unconsciousness has them worried. I'm afraid I can't tell you anything, the Hokage replied with a frown. However, I suggest you tell your clan that Haku prefers to maintain a private daily life. It would be unwise to continue such observations. Of course, Hokage-sama, the Hyuga replied, bowing. I shall correct the mistake. Might we remain apprised of Haku-san's condition, however? I think my daughter would like to remain informed as well. The Hokage rubbed his chin for a moment, wishing he were allowed to smoke in the hospital. It might help calm his nerves at the current situation. When he regains consciousness, I will ask him his opinion. Until then, if you expect information, I believe it would be best to gain it from Hinata, as they share several acquaintances. That would be quite agreeable, thank you, sir. Make sure to give the boy my best wishes on a speedy recovery, when possible. I must return to the compound now. Good day. Yes, to you as well, came the reply. The Hokage turned around and winced. Ji-san, what's wrong with Haku? So we don't know when or how, but Haku is dead, the Hokage finished, Sakura looking sympathetically at her teammate. She knew it had to hurt him badly. He had been so excited at the idea of meeting with Haku again, whom he had assumed would be waiting for them in the hospital, perhaps just weak from the experience. Kakashi had, apparently, not known the full extent of the Hokage's wanting to talk to them either. When asked, all he had said was, "The Hokage wants to talk with us about Haku's situation. That's all the letter says." But I didn't think, I don't want dash. I'm sorry, Naruto, but the only reason Haku's body still functions is the fact that you were residing in it. His brain waves, his consciousness is completely gone. Naruto, you didn't kill him, Kakashi tried to say, but he was cut off. Yes, I did. My stupid bloodline did it. I didn't even mean to use it, but I did, and now it made me kill a guy like Haku. I killed him. No, you didn't, Dash. Shut up. Stop trying to cover up what I did. It's my fault. My stupid bloodline's fault. And you all want me to use it again? When it kills whoever I use it on. He cried. No, never again. Never. Stupid dobe. It could still be useful for Dash. The Uchiha blinked from his place on the floor. Naruto had moved in to hit him as hard as he could in his rage. His eyes narrowed and fox-like now. Shut it, team. I don't want to hear it. Not from you, not from anyone. If the only way to use this ability is to kill, then I don't want it, and I'm going to do everything I can get rid of it. He stormed out of the room before anyone else could say something, their calls deaf to his ears. Kakashi leaned back against the wall and the Hokage buried his face in his hands. What am I supposed to tell him? He thought out loud. Sasuke is right. It's a very useful ability, but to someone with a heart like Naruto? He shook his head. What am I supposed to do? I think we should just be there, Sakura said. To support him. Naruto's gonna feel bad for a while. I mean, he's had to think that he killed Haku twice over, kind of. And you're right. Naruto won't ever want to use it, so let's not make him. Sasuke grunted, the only sign of his disagreement. Kakashi was a little more vocal. No, he will use it again. It's valuable. Naruto will have to use the ability again. How can you say that, sensei? Didn't you see how much it hurt him? Yes, he replied. Naruto feels like there is a knife in his heart. He had just come to terms with his bloodline and the idea that it was a gift. It let him see his mother gave him the hope that he could keep doing it forever. Then his whole world tumbled down. I would actually say he is as near to suicide as Naruto could get. Then why? Why do you want him to use it? Yes, Kakashi. The Hokage spoke up, wondering why the Jounin would so casually insist Naruto continue to use such a hurtful technique. Why should we make Naruto use it again? Why should we make him hurt? Because, Kakashi shrugged, I know something you all don't. Naruto stood atop the Hokage monument, not focusing on anything but the tiny pebbles he was kicking off the edge. It was true what he'd said. He didn't want this power anymore. He had started off hating it, but then it had given him a second chance to have a mother, albeit in a very unique form. He even got the chance to be with Hinata, though that revelation had shocked him. He knew it would be harder as Naruto, but he still wanted to try. However, who could call any of it worth it if he took away someone else's life to do these things? Anyone he used it on, they would be a son or daughter, brother or sister, a mother or father. He would be taking family away from someone else each time he used this ability. He clenched his fist. He knew this path would condemn his mother once again, to live only in his head, waiting for the proper time to appear. But it had been a good few weeks, that time he'd managed to have with her, and the happiness he'd felt. Now that he'd tasted it, it didn't feel right to take that away from another. Naruto flinched as he felt movement near him. The boy had hoped to stay alone for a good while, thinking of a way to tell his mother his decision. That was going to be the hard part. It wasn't telling Sensei that their work had been for nothing, or telling Hinata that she wouldn't be dating Haku anymore. That part was easy. It was getting permission again that would be hard. It wasn't telling everyone they would never get to see him use such a powerful technique again, no matter what. It was telling his mother goodbye and condemning her to wait. But now someone else had to show up and stop his thoughts. He turned, ready to growl and make them go away only to stop. Sensei, he turned around again. Go away, Sensei. I want to be by myself. Mama, take it easy, Naruto. I'm bringing good news. Naruto barked out a laugh. Good news? In the middle of all this? What, are they making me Hokage early? Or maybe Hayashi-san already found out, and he's happy that the village's most hated genin is gonna date his daughter. Even better, Kakashi replied, giving his student a one-eyed smile. PFT. Yeah, right? Well, you'll think I'm just trying to make you feel better. But when I say you didn't kill Haku, I really mean it. Shut up. Really. Remember, I was there when it happened, but I saw something that no one else did. Doesn't matter. There was a mist. You couldn't even see me and Haku, so stop giving me crap. No, really. If it wasn't for you, Haku's body would have been completely dead. I don't know how, but when you activated your bloodline, Haku's spirit was already gone. Yeah, that's right. You said Haku grabbed your hand and that was the last thing you remembered before blacking out. Well, he was stopping you to save Zabuza, but his soul left his body, putting itself between me and the demon of the mist. That would have been his body, and he would have been too far gone to say anything. But, miraculously, his spirit was there for a moment before it faded away. He got to see before he died that Zabuza cared about him. That was thanks to you. Why didn't you tell me that before? I thought he was still alive, trapped in his own body. Why didn't you say anything? I'm sorry, the man said. I failed you in that. I was worried about your situation and mistook the things that were bothering you for other things. I did not realize it all and ended up making you hurt more. Baka-sensei. Kakashi didn't offer a rebuttal. It doesn't matter. I still took his life away, even he was gonna die. You just proved it. My bloodline forced out his spirit. I don't think so. The fog was already lifting when you guys did that, so my Sharingan caught a little bit of it. It looked to me like he was using his bloodline to transport himself at the same time that your bloodline held his body in place. What happened was a freak accident, one that I can't even think of another pair of bloodlines that would have the same effect. If it hadn't been the two of you, it would have been as you thought. His mind trapped in his body, you in charge, then him regaining charge when you left. Based on what we've seen, and what Kushina-sen said, that's the only logical explanation. But there was chakra in the fog, Naruto pointed out drearily. You didn't see clearly. It's completely possible I made him leave his body. Well, only one way to know for sure, Kakashi said. Use your bloodline on me. What? Naruto turned to look at his sensei in surprise and fear. Don't joke like that. We don't know what would happen. Perhaps. I feel confident, though, that if you used your ability on me, then returned to your body, you would find me weak. Bust most certainly still in residence. Naruto shook his head. No, I can't risk it. I can't risk the chance of doing that to someone, especially people I care about. Oh, it wouldn't be that bad. Just imagine. If you really did get rid of me that way, you could tell Sasuke you have a Sharingan, too, and you'd be so much stronger and faster. Oh, and did I mention I have a good chance at being nominated for Hokage in a few years? Despite the levity with which Kakashi said all this, Naruto refused to look his way. I just want to be rid of it, he said. Oh well. Well, I guess I could give you one idea, he suggested. Naruto perked up. What? Really, sensei? Could get rid of this? Yeah, maybe. Basically do the same thing you do when you activate it, but hold your hand out to nothing. But Mom said dash. Ma, I know. That's why I think this might work. If you really focus hard on the nothing, then you might be able to use your ability to make it specifically go out of your body. It's worth a shot. After all, if it doesn't work, then nothing happens, right? Naruto thought on these words for a moment. Yeah, I suppose so. All right, then let's try it. Right now? It's the middle of the day, sensei. What if someone sees us? What if something happens? In response, Kakashi lifted his headband and pointed at his left eye. Hey, don't worry. I'll keep track of things. We'll just step back a few paces to... Here should be good, he said, leading Naruto back from the edge of the cliff. And with my Sharingan, no matter what happens, we can learn something about the chakra flow and can maybe get it right next time. Are you ready? Why, yeah, Naruto said, swallowing. Yeah, I'm ready. All right, close your eyes and focus. But I need my eyes open to dash. Exactly. We'll keep your eyes closed for as long as we can. Then you tell me when you're ready, and then not only can we make sure nothing bad happens for someone else, but it will shock trigger the reaction we're looking for. I don't get it. Ma, just trust me. You trust me, don't you? Naruto nodded. Then let's do it. Naruto nodded again, closing his eyes and focusing just like Kakashi told him to. A few moments passed, Naruto putting all his effort into doing it right, and into the hope of being rid of his curse. All right, I'm ready. Good. Count down from 3, then push as hard as you can and open your eyes. Got it. Yeah, 3, 2, 1. Go! Sorry, Naruto, but I have to do this, Kakashi thought as they cried out the last word. Just as instructed, Naruto pushed with his ability like his mom had taught him, focusing his mind on nothing. It felt perfect, just like when he'd made it happen with Haku. There was only one problem. He was looking straight into Kakashi-sensei's eyes, and he could already feel his consciousness shifted. No, sensei, why did you do this to me? Naruto shook his head back and forth, gripping it tightly while he tried to understand why his sensei had acted so. He knew how dangerous this technique was, how swiftly it brought death. Did he really hate his life so much that he wanted Naruto to kill him? Was this his own way for getting recompense for his sins he had committed? Why, sensei? Why? It's okay, Naruto, it's okay, came a soothing female voice and hands wrapping around him in a hug. The boy choked. Kasan, why did he do it? Why did he want to die? He didn't, she said. The last time I saw Kakashi looking like he wanted to die was after his father committed suicide. There was a very different look in his eye then. Just now, what I saw before you body swapped was compassion. He doesn't want you to live in fear, so he gave himself to show you it is safe. But what if it isn't? What ID sensei's gone now? What if I killed him? Shush, the woman cooed. It's okay. If he died, then it was because he was willing to risk it, and because he was very sure he would not die. He would not purposefully leave you with this guilt, the same guilt that has plagued him since Obito died. So, if he is dead, then it was by his own choices and not of your own. All you have to do is switch back, and then you'll know. But, I'm scared, came the quivering whisper. I know, my son. But didn't you tell me you wanted to be Hokage? Just like Minato and I dreamed? Is a Hokage afraid? He never seems scared. Ah, that is it exactly. He never seems scared, his mother said, surprised that his response would bring her so directly to her point. Everyone is afraid of something, especially a good Kage. They have to fear failing the village and the people in it, of losing their friends and fellow shinobi at any given time because of their decisions. A Kage has more to fear than most, but a Kage will also control that fear. He will face it, look it in the eye and be brave, just like I know my Naruto can do. So what will it be? Will you run away? Or are you going to face your fear? Will you be brave, my son? For me. The genin took several deep breaths, reveling in the comfort that came from his mother's arms. Is there any way that you can stay with me? Just in case. The woman's brow furled. We both know that I will always be with you, in your heart and in your mind, but I know what you mean. We could try a shadow clone, but I can't guarantee it will work. You've already been through so much tonight. Do you really want to risk this one? Tonight? Well, you said I needed to face my fears, he said, standing up shakily. Better to get over with now than to wait, right? Besides, if it fails, I would really want to be able to see you. Right after. Kushina looked at the face of her son, seeing the pain in his eyes. All right, she said, patting his cheek. We'll try it, but just in case it doesn't work, I want us to be around the others. That's my condition. Naruto nodded. Okay, then let's get back to the hospital. Kurenai-sensei, could you please lend me Hinata-san for a little while? The sensei of Team 8 looked up from where her team was once again gardening. It had been a rather soothing morning, though she was still perturbed by the situation with the boy who now stood before her. The Hokage is requesting her presence for a short assignment at the hospital, Haku continued. as he believes her Byakugan would be useful in the diagnosis of a terminal patient there. Kurenai bit back a sniff, giving the boy a once-over. He was carrying himself a little differently than he had the other times she had seen him the last weeks, but it was certainly the same boy. She almost wished it was Naruto pulling a prank. "Does he need her right now?" she asked. "As soon as possible," he said. "Hinata," she called. "Haku has come to fetch you for the Hokage. Move quickly to accomplish his task and report back immediately." "Understood." "Hi, sensei," the girl replied, brushing the dirt off her hands and wondering what Haku was doing here. It made things awkward, associating with him now, since Naruto was back in his own body and she had yet to tell him of the Hyuga clan's proposal. "Very good. No delays, Haku. I want her back in time for team training." "Understood." "Hi, Kurenai-sensei. I will have her back soon." The woman shook her head as they took to the rooftops. He was moving differently again. One thing she knew for sure: she did not like that boy. In the meantime, Hinata shot side glances at the boy next to her. Haku-san, is something wrong with Naruto?" The boy jerked before chuckling a little, flashing her a very Naruto-like smile. "Ma. Sorry about that, Hinata-chan. Actually, this is Kushina right now. Naruto's in residence outside his body at the moment. Guess it's kinda confusing, eh?" She chuckled. Oh, Kushina-san. I'm sorry about that. But why look like Haku?" The grin disappeared. "Well, actually, even right now I'm just a clone. I want you with Naruto while we get something figured out because I don't know what he wants will work. And since I'm in his body, I thought it would look odd to have two Narutos running around." I see. But why go around as Haku?" The mother's face darkened more. That is why I want you to be there for me, son." "Naruto-kun." Hinata launched herself into Kakaneru's arms, gripping him tightly. The boy stumbled in shock as his girlfriend appeared, then saw Haku walk in behind her. "Ah, so that's where you disappeared to. Mom tell you what happened?" Then, Hinata nodded, taking a step back, held his hands. "What do you think?" Her grip tightened before replying. I think that Naruto-kun is very kind-hearted," she said. "And I am proud that such a kind and compassionate person thinks that I am worth their time." He gave an odd smirk. It was equal parts pained, embarrassed, and proud. "Nah, you're totally worth it. And you're probably the nicest person I know." "From what I've seen, I think I agree," said non-clone Kushina as the other hinged to look like herself. "But that isn't the point for right now. Hiruzen, Sasuke, Sakura, you all are aware of the possible soul-wiping, I guess you could say, that Naruto's ability may do. Kakashi also made you aware of his theory concerning that. As I'm sure I've noticed, Kakashi is no longer in residence." The woman scowled. "While I admire his tenacity and clear thinking, I have to say I am upset with how he has gone about proving his theory to Naruto with his tricks. Now, however, is the moment of truth, and we are here to make sure Naruto has all the support he needs, just in case. Are you ready, Naruto?" she asked, turning towards her son. He nodded. "All right, Sasuke, Sakura, each of you get behind a body and be ready to catch. Hinata, I want you next to Naruto in case the shadow clone idea doesn't work." Everyone moved to their places, the genin adjusting their stances for their subject's size and weight. "Naruto." "Yeah, here we go. Body switch jutsu," he said quietly, locking eyes with his body. An instant later, Sakura was helping him to stand on his own, Hinata following up with a hug. Do we know yet?" he asked unsteadily. "Well, the shadow clone works at least," came his mother's voice as she smirked at him. "Not that we know if the memories will transfer like with normal shadow clones, but at the very least I can maintain consciousness. Talk with me in your mindscape after I dispel and we'll see on that. Son." "Why, yeah," he smiled weakly. "But, Kakashi-sensei?" They turned to the bed that Sasuke and the Hokage were lowering the Jounin's body onto as the tension mounted. "Well, I don't think he'll be able to tell us on his own for a little while. Remember, your jutsu takes a bit out of you, though you, at least, are recovering pretty quickly. If Kakashi was right dash. Hey Kakashi! Obishio's late again. Everyone jumped at Kushina's shout. Now leaning over Kakashi, she had put her hands to her mouth, funneling the scream almost straight into the ear of Minato's once student. She huffed in disappointment. Darn it! That always worked when he was a chunin. Kushina? You do remember that he ended up acquiring Obishio's lateness? Yes. Well, of course, but some habits dash. Die hard, ma, came the man's voice. Still sorry I'm late. Guess it worked. Team 7, dismiss. Naruto dropped to his knees as he clutched his heart. His girlfriend continued to hold him tightly as his breathing came quicker. So I didn't kill him? No, Naruto-kun, he's fine. Isn't that great? The boy let out a loud, crazy, maniacal, but relieved laugh that turned into a sob. Sakura and Sasuke gave him a hug and a pat on the shoulder respectively before leaving. His mother joined Hinata in hugging her son while the Hokage sat and waited. You see, Naruto? Kakashi took a risk he felt sure about, and he was right. You are not at fault for Haku's death. It wasn't your fault, see? It's all better now. Naruto nodded and hiccuped into his mother's hug as he began to calm down, the stress finally fading away. The Hokage cleared his throat and the three shinobi turned to gaze at the Hokage. Yes, this is very good. And I am happy, Naruto, that things are working out for the best. However, as we don't know how long Kushina will be here, being a shadow clone and all, I really think we should discuss the matter of the Hyuga's engagement proposal. Now, I am of the opinion, he continued, not noticing the looks of confusion on Naruto's and Kushina's faces, nor the deep blush on Hinata's own. I am of the opinion that we should find some way to refuse. After all, what they have seen is the boy Haku dating Hinata, not you yourself. Even if you felt you were ready to make such a commitment, I do not see any way whereby we could pass it off without giving away the true nature of Haku's identity dash. You, Ji-san? The Hokage broke off at Naruto's questioning statement. Yes, Naruto? What are you talking about? What I think he is talking about, said Kushina, now sporting a wry grin, is that the Hyuga have seen Hinata going on dates with Haku and have put forth a request that Haku be engaged to Hinata to be married in some years' time. Is that right? Hinata meeped and fainted. Never mind. I think we have our answer. She giggled as the Hokage raised an eyebrow. Has Hinata not spoken to you about this yet? Naruto shook his head. Well, I must apologize to her when she awakens. Yes, that would be good, Kushina managed to say between giggles before sobering up. And though I must say I like the idea, I'm with you. I don't see how we could really pull it off. Oh, Naruto, could you stay with Hinata while I talk with the Hokage? Her son nodded as he placed Hinata onto an empty bed. Good. Don't worry, we'll be right back. Naruto scratched his head as the two left the room, wondering why they weren't asking his opinion. He turned to gaze at the sleeping Hyuga. Hinata was pretty, but beside that, which didn't really matter, he really liked her now. She might be shy a lot of the time, but she was very kind and considerate. She always listened to him, no matter how trivial a thing he was going on about, and she really would listen, too. Not just pretend, but listen. Still, this was marriage. Were they really trying to set her up this fast? Was she ready? He was pretty sure he wasn't ready, but at the same time, if not him, who? Who would they try to set her up with next if he didn't accept? But it was really for Haku, so how could he? He wasn't even sure he could use Haku's body again because it was just that. A body. A corpse. A husk. A nothing. Felt. Well, he wasn't sure exactly how it felt besides odd. Was it wrong to use Haku's body if it meant he could be closer to Hinata? And then there was the thing Sasuke always said, that if you had an advantage you should use it. He wasn't great, but hadn't he been training with Haku's body? It gave him a new skill set, and his ability in general could have a lot of uses for pranks, he thought, giggling. He shook his head. No, when he became a genin he swore off his old prank. He wasn't a kid anymore, but a ninja. a shinobi of the Leaf Village, and Hyuga Hinata's potential fiancé. He might not be ready, but he'd be darned if he left them marry her off to someone he didn't know. She was too nice a person to be shoved into someone she didn't even know. And Naruto-kun? He looked down, realizing that he was holding her hand tightly. He began to let go, but she gripped quickly, as if pleading for him to not. He smiled down at her. Hey, Hinata. Feeling better. The girl blushed and turned away. Hinata, what's wrong? I didn't tell you. I should have, but I was too scared and confused. I really like you, she said, tears beginning to lightly stream down her face. And I would like to accept father's proposal, but it's for Haku and not you. If it had to be as Haku, I would still accept, but I know how hard it is for you and I didn't want to be a burden on you. I am ashamed that I would dash. Stop it, he said firmly. Hinata, you don't have anything to be ashamed about, no matter what your clan says, or your dad, or even Ji-san. Sure, you might be a little weird and dark and gloomy when people first see you, but you're totally awesome. You're the nicest girl I've ever met, and you deserve to live your life how you want, not having some stupid arranged marriage where you don't even get any say. Oh, then I guess, she began, not looking at him. Yeah. Tell your father. I accept. Hinata's head whipped around to stare at him. You. I accept, he said, tightening his grip. I'm not ready to get married, he gulped out. But you're my friend, my girlfriend, and I really care about you too. So I'll be darned if they make you marry someone you don't want to. But Haku, you bodies. Naruto shrugged. I'll get used to it, but I help my friends, and I never go back on my word, he declared, huge smile on his face as he stood giving her a thumbs up, though after a moment he wavered. And I promise, Hinata, I will do my best to love you, so you have a husband you deserve. Hinata cried, rising to hug her boyfriend, her Naruto, and so grateful to him for making what she knew was a huge sacrifice. That is, continuing to use Haku's body in order to be with her. She wondered when the last time was she'd been so happy. Well, guess I should help them figure out some solution or another. It will be hard to be Haku and Naruto all those years until they actually get married, assuming they continue to want it. Kakashi rolled over with a small jerk, sighing at how little strength his body had right then. How does he manage to get so much of a better deal out of his jutsu? I feel like I could sleep till tomorrow. He grinned. That sounds nazi. Yes, I think he will too, but I don't think he's ready. Kushina, transformed into a random shinobi, fumed. Yes, because he was ready when Minato and I sealed the Kyuubi in him. Because I was ready when he was sealed into me. Kushina, that is different. Heck yeah, it is, you know. One slip up and I could destroy the village. I couldn't even give birth with my best friend nearby because of it. Being a Jinchuriki is just as hard as getting married. Easier, I think, she said, thinking about her time with Minato. They were the happiest days of her life, but also some of the hardest. She continued speaking, pride evident in her voice. Naruto is a good boy, Minato's son. He'll want to accept it for Hinata's sake, and since he already likes her, it's fine. That is gonna grow, you know? I mean, you've seen the two of them together. But what about the actual terms? He has to use Haku's body for it, Kushina. She waved off his concern. For a friend, for Hinata, my son would do anything. And I can argue the terms. No, you can't. She turned to glare at him. Yes, I can. No, you can't. Yes, I can. You're dead. The woman blinked. Oh, right. Well then who can do that? Is it you? Hiruzen stroked his beard. As far as the Hyuga know, yes, that would be my place, Haku being an outsider and all. However, Naruto's guardian, as you should know, is Jiraiya, and he can be hard to track down. We've discussed how obsessed he is with tackling the issue that is Orochimaru. Kushina shook her head. He always was stubborn. Still, how can we get him back? and stall, not to mention, for the time until he gets back. The stalling is easy. Chunin exams next week. I'll tell them he wants to wait until the exams are over and Hinata and him can talk about it undistracted. That should give us about a month, assuming Hinata can make it. Of course she can. Yes, she can, if she feels confident enough, but she has issues with confidence. She'll get better. She is dating my son, after all. They chuckled. Yes, I suppose she is. On the other matter, I'll start sending out feelers. Hopefully Jiraiya is close by and catches on to one quickly. Then we can arrange for Haku to be under his responsibility and have them arrange it. Assuming, as you so confidently state, that Naruto accepts. Of course he will. I already told you dash. Hokage-sama. Ibiki-sen wants know why wo. The impulsive Chunin carrying the message to the Hokage tripped on a raised floor tile, sending him tumbling into the Kushina clone. Cra dash. Poof. Eh? The Chunin looked around. Wasn't there a lady here? The Hokage lowered his hat to cover his eyes. Well, I guess we'll have to finish this conversation later, Kushina. I hope this isn't about the Chunin exams. I told Ibiki already, he's the best for making sure everyone in the room is really ready to advance. Poor man still feels responsible for his brother. Still better get it on with, he thought, helping the confused Chunin to his feet. At least this has a simple solution. Hayashi-sama, the Lord Hokage, announced the branch member as said Kage entered the Hyuga leader's office. Hokage-sama, please, have a seat, he said, gesturing to one of the cushions that sat in front of his desk. To what do I owe the pleasure? Well, Hayashi, Haku has had some time to think over your clan's proposal, Sarutobi began. Hayashi raised an eyebrow. Some time, you say? Meaning? He knows that the Chunin exams are coming up, and Kurenai is planning on putting her team into them. He is interested, but wants to wait until Hinata is undistracted, so they can have a proper discussion as to whether or not they desire to continue their relationship in such a manner. Hayashi nodded. I see. Well, that is sensible, and another point the clan will enjoy having in the boy should he accept. Is there anything else? The old man shook his head, standing up. No, nothing else. I was on my way home and thought it best I update you. I prefer the personal touch, and Haku is still getting used to the way things work here, so it was best I tell you. For now, of course. Of course. Good evening, Hayashi. Good evening, Hokage-sama. The Hyuga head continued to stare at the door intently after the other man had gone, tapping his fingers together in front of his face in deep thought. There is more he isn't telling me. Something about Haku. Why are they really waiting until after the exams? Why delay rather than just say yes or no now? Could it be something to do with the Uzumaki boy? After all, Hinata did like him? He felt a headache coming on and stood up. I think that is enough for one day. I can finish planning the next stage of Hanabi's training later. And Hinata, in the Chunin exams? Perhaps I had better talk with Kurenai again to check on Hinata's progress. With these thoughts filling his head, he headed warm up some soup and head to bed. His wife always had enjoyed a bowl of soup before sleep. Well, I hope you're ready for more training, Kakashi drawled as he looked over to his next bed neighbor. I've been thinking about what else we can do to get ready for the Chunin exams, and I may have thought of something. Woohoo! Naruto slowly blinked from his seated position. It had been late enough and emotionally draining enough that he had opted to stay at the hospital. Not to mention he'd wanted to make sure his sensei revived more fully recovered. I said, I have some plans to keep getting you three ready for the exams next week, particularly yourself. Really? He asked. Kakashi nodded patiently as Naruto woke up. Yup. Now I have an errand or two to run, so I'll meet you at our usual team meeting spot, we'll do a mission, and from there we'll discuss training. Naruto grinned sleepily. Sensei, he mumbled before falling back on the bed. Kakashi rose up, beginning to exit before Naruto's voice floated through the open room again. Ka-san says not to visit with. Your friend's too long, or she'll, whatever zzz. Kakashi paled. Right. Sorry Obito, Rin. It will be a short visit today. Even with a short threat, she's still too scary. So, we'll be in the Chunin exams after all. Sasuke mused from his perch on the railing. Good. It will be a good test for us. Are you sure? Sakura asked hesitantly. I'm not sure I'm ready for this, she said, pulling at her hair nervously. Well hey, Sensei says we are, and that he's going to give us more training too, so why not? Besides, you are the smartest of us, right? Sakura mumbled incoherently in response as Sasuke nodded. Yes, it should be a good opportunity. The three turned in shock to see their sensei on time again. What? He asked as though nothing were unusual. Inwardly, he sweated at the idea that Kushina might find out he'd been a couple minutes late. Sensei, you're getting you ready for the Chunin exams. Not that you aren't already capable, of course, but with Naruto's special jutsu, I think this warrants a little different kind of training. Sasuke raised an eyebrow. I thought we were keeping that a secret? We are, Kakashi replied, nodding. But we think we've come up with an explanation that might work. Really, Sensei? What is it? Kakashi, I smiled mysteriously. Well, wouldn't you like to know? The whole team face faulted. Little change occurred in the following week over how Haku and Hinata interacted, though Kurenai continued to drop hints to the girl that Naruto might be a better companion. Hinata would blush and turn her face while Naruto would just shrug and say again that Haku was a good guy and to let Hinata like him. It was very frustrating for the woman. Meanwhile, Naruto was coming home to a home-cooked meal. How was your date? Came Kushina's voice. Hakuneru grinned. It was fun, actually. Hinata took me around to some places she likes to gather flowers for flower pressing. I never thought flowers could be that cool. His mother laughed at his enthusiasm. Yes, well, some of us do like that. I was never really into it myself. Too much of a tomboy. What I like to do best, she said, tilting her head as she fondly recalled other days. What I liked to do best was spar with your father. He was always so skilled, so quick, and he was always wearing that same beautiful smile the whole time we fought. She drifted off into her memories until Hakuneru spoke up again. Mom? Is it supposed to be that color? What? Ugh. No. She began to furiously battle the stove when she'd let her food rest for too long. It was a rather embarrassed mother who served her son dinner that night, though he continued to reassure her that it was great. He was back in his own body at this point while Kushina continued working as a shadow clone so he could enjoy the food with his own body and talk with his mother. Besides, Hakuneru had had dinner with Hinata already. As Naruto finished eating, he began to pick at his food. Kushina peered over at him to see a strangely pensive gaze coming from his eyes. Naruto, is there something wrong? Oh, sorry, Ka-san. No, not really, he replied, shaking his head. Just thinking about the whole thing with Hinata. Oh, Kushina blushed. I guess I shouldn't have rushed so much to agree, but just seemed to make you so happy, and I missed 12 years of my son's life. I guess I got a little overexcited. It's okay, Mom, really. After all, I did agree. It's just that the idea scares me, you know. I know I agreed, but knowing that I could get married at any time, he shook his head. A few weeks ago, I barely passed the graduation exam. I was dead last in my class, no real friends, no family. All I wanted to become Hokage and eat ramen. This is crazy different from where I thought I'd be those few weeks ago. I know, son, I know, she said, moving to sit beside him and wrap an arm around his shoulders. But remember, everything that has happened is because you chose to do it, and for good reasons, too. You could have decided not to help your girlfriend. You could have to not give love a chance to blossom. But you are giving it and her that chance. I don't think I've ever seen a happier girl. Well, besides myself when your father proposed, she added, giggling. Moom. He sighed. Thanks, Mom. He hugged her. Kushina's eyes widened a little, a common thing for her. She hadn't expected to be getting hugs from her son for a little while longer when she was sealed, but now here he was. Early teens, a genin, and making decisions that would impact his life forever. She hugged him back. At least he's making good ones, she thought. He may be as knucklehead as me, but he's as smart as his father anyway. Yes, he's gonna be all right. As there were still a couple of days before the Chunin exams, Kushina managed to convince Naruto that they needed to find a way for the two of them to be out in town together. Sure, it was unlikely for people to connect that Naruto and Haku were never seen at the same time, even though they said they were good friends, but why take that chance? They needed to have sources outside the group that knew. Sources in public with witnesses to testify, should anyone happen upon the correct conclusion. That Haku was Naruto. He still didn't like it, but his mother reminded him what the Hokage had told them about when he first managed to get out of Haku's body. The Hyuga had been watching. Even though Hayashi had apparently called them off, there was no guarantee that someone in the Hyuga wasn't still watching. Thus it became important to not give them the chance to see them both in public together, and there was no better place than Ichiraku's. "Hey, old man, I want a miso ramen as soon as you can get it," called out Kushineru as they walked in, doing her best to imitate her son given her own observations and how he said he usually acted. "Hey Naruto, give me just a moment, and Haku-san, we haven't seen you in a while. We were starting to get worried that you didn't like our food after all." Hakuneru bowed. "I apologize for distressing you," he said. "I just happen to treat good food differently than Naruto," he said as they took their seats. "Naruto tells me it's best to get all you can of the best so you can savor it more often. I tend to believe that you treat yourself on occasion only, so as to never let the taste dull on your tongue." Too many big words, Haku. Just sit down and eat." Tucci laughed at the boy's antics. "Of course, both philosophies have their places, but I think my wallet likes Naruto's best." "Of course, Tucci-san," Hakuneru replied, nodding. He looked around in confusion. "Tucci-san, why does your daughter seem to be missing?" Kushineru almost choked. "Now, why didn't I notice that? Darn it, Kushina." Despite her temporary panic, Tucci didn't seem to think anything was out of place as he prepared their meals, along with a bit extra for the additional helpings he knew Naruto would order. "I am? Well, believe it or not, she's on a date right now." "Eh? I am-chan's on a date. With who?" "Irika-san." The costumers sat in shocked silence. "Irika-sensei," Hakuneru said slowly. "With Ayam-sage-san?" Tucci nodded as flies seemed to collect in Kushineru's mouth. She hoped she was playing her part well. "Yeah, they're second, actually. I always wondered if he was coming here for more than just the food." The man mused. "I guess you being out of it for a while and coming back made him decide that it was now or never," he said to Kushineru. "You'd think a shinobi would have the guts to ask a girl you, though." He chuckled as he handed them their bowls. Kushineru's eyes lit up as he dug into the bowl, managing to mumble out a sentence. "Well, if it's Irika Sensei then that is fine." "Yeah." Hakuneru nodded dumbly. "I guess so." He smiled. "Well, I suppose I should congratulate him later. What time will they be done with their date?" Tucci shrugged. "Before the dinner rush, I hope. I suppose I should just be glad he has the day off to take her out in the afternoon instead of evening in the first place." "Yes, that is good fortune." Hakuneru nodded as he lifted his bowl. "To Irika and Ayam. May they enjoy their date and be back in time for dinner," he said and took a sip of the broth. Kushineru spluttered with laughter before sharing the toast, and they went back to eating. "All right, are you ready, Naruto?" "Yes, Mom." "You have all the scrolls you need?" "Yes, Mom." "You have that extra shuriken I got you?" "Yes, Mom." "You dash. Mom." Kushina paused in her rundown of Naruto's pack and blushed. "Sorry. Guess I'm just a little nervous." She sighed. "I always dreamed of sending you to the academy, and now you've already been through, and I'm sending you to the Chunin exams." "It's cool, Mom, it's cool. I'll be fine. I've got Sakura-chan and Sasuke team with me. We'll be good. He scratched at the back of his head. Honestly, we will. Still kinda wish you hadn't told me about the written test, though. The survival portion will probably be easier. Maybe, Kushina said, shrugging. It depends on who's in charge of that portion of the exams. In fact, when Minato was in charge that one time, he had Hokage-sama do the written test, and he all these questions about shinobi history and famous battles and dash. I'm going now. Bye, Mom. Ah, wait, I dash. She dropped her outstretched arm as her son ran out. Guess I overdid it. Too excited, you know. The mother raised her eyes to look out the open door again. Well, guess I need to make a couple appearances as Haku around the village after the next exam starts. That should really help with Naruto cover. Still, I wish he'd. Love you, Mom. Bye for real now. Kushina started out the open doorway in surprise, a smile slowly working its way onto her face, her eyes wet. I love you too, she whispered. Good luck. At the exam, Naruto and Hinata treated each other as normal as possible. Naruto's teammates also did not let on any hints of the two's new relationship. Even so, Kiba mentioned that Hinata had been spending a lot of time with this new shinobi, Haku. He tried to get Team 7 to tell him more about him, but they deflected his questions. Ah, come on. The guy's dating my teammates. Why can't you tell me anything? Haku's a private person, Sasuke said. He doesn't like to be talked about. Yeah, whatever. What about you, Naruto? You've been around him a lot. Eh? What makes you say that? Naruto began to sweat a little. Well, besides seeing you guys having ramen the other night, Akamaru and I can smell him on ya. Well, yeah, I was the first guy he met here, so we hang out and I show him around. But why not ask Hinata? Ask Hinata? Kiba raised his eyebrows. As bad as she was around you before Haku came around, I'd rather not put her through that. Eh? Kiba is referring to Hinata's crush on you, Naruto, before she began to date Haku. Though it seems to me that she still likes you. And you here. Eh? But they don't smell like Dash. I don't smell like you do, Kiba, Shino said. I watch. They are avoiding each other, but they keep looking. Is this going to be a problem? The Aburame demanded as Naruto began to bristle up before Sakura came to his defense. Shino, come on, Naruto supports Haku and Hinata's relationship. It's just a little awkward because of Kurenai telling Naruto about Hinata's crush. Naruto isn't going to hurt Hinata, and I think you both should talk to Hinata before asking questions behind her back. You're teammates, right? Then you should keep things like that out in the open instead of trying to hide it. She deserves that much, don't you think? Kiba looked to Shino as his teammates contemplated Sakura. I see. I will think on it and perhaps pose the question to her after the exams. No, Kiba, he said firmly. We let it lie till after the exams. Hinata can take care of herself, but she doesn't need the distraction of us nosing in her business to distract her. She's our teammate, so we will trust her judgment. Fine, Kiba growled as they stalked off to join Hinata where she was chatting with Slash listening to Ino talk. Thanks, Naruto whispered. No problem, Sakura replied just before the examiner announced the start of the test. The two boys from Team 8 cornering Naruto had precluded any other talking, though Naruto took note of the trio from Suna that he had run into the other day. With everything else going on, he had neglected spending time with Konohamaru, and the boy and his friends had tracked him down yesterday before they all ran into those three. Naruto shivered again at the cold gaze of the short, red-haired one. He brightened up when he was assigned to sit next to Hinata. She smiled warmly at him before turning her gaze forward again, light blush covering her cheeks. He smiled back and turned to listen to the head examiner explain the rules and begin the test. As the time went on, Naruto's panic got worse. These questions were outside his knowledge. He had hoped his mom exaggerated the difficulty of the written portion, but this was even worse than he had thought. He glanced at Hinata and steeled his resolve. No, he had to figure it out for her. Hinata, meanwhile, had gleaned the truth of the test and obtained the correct answers from an examinee nearby who seemed to answering the questions with ease. Indeed, he finished Will within the time limit and relaxed. His posture indicated he was leaving himself open to copy. So she did with her Byakugan. As she finished copying, she spied a glance at Naruto and realized he hadn't answered a single question. Thanks to their time together, she spotted the signs of panic and began to worry. She wanted him to do well so badly, and knew he would hate himself if he didn't manage to keep going. She also knew he wouldn't want to accept help in the end. She bit her lip, thinking. A few moments later, Hinata calmly reached over and took Naruto's test, laying hers down in its place. Hinata, you can't dash. Indeed, you and your team are out, miss. But she didn't dash. She gave you all the answers. That's cheating, so she's out. Now wait just a second. Naruto began, standing up to stare the examiner who had walked over in the eye. And Naruto, it's okay, she said quietly. I'm still in the test. Oh? What makes you say that? I believe I just told you to get up and leave. Boo. But you aren't. That is dash. She began to breathe more quickly as she tried to explain. But her breath caught as the man stared at her unmercifully. Then she saw Naruto. He had looked at her test she had given him and his eyes widened. Good, Naruto would explain. That would take care of. But then she saw Naruto look up and just smile, waving at her to go on. She gulped and tried again, faltering once more. Last time, miss. Get up and out, or you will be escorted out. Come on, Hinata. Let's just get out, Kiba said gruffly, perturbed at the situation and maddened even more that Shino was keeping him from asking more about what was going on with those two and Haku. No, I think Hinata has something to say, Naruto said over him. I think you should listen. He said the last, pointing at Ibiki, who had been watching in mild amusement as the final minutes ticked away to the 10th question. All right, explain then, Hyuga Hinata. Why should I not let my assistant throw you out of my exam? Hinata looked once more at Naruto's encouraging look, took a deep breath, and spoke. No matter how you look at it, there was only one cheat. Ibiki continued to gaze at her, waiting for the full explanation. She gulped. You, Uzumaki Naruto, took no part in cheating, and the paper with his name on it has all the answers, she said. And I also have all the correct answers on the test W with my name. It was only one incident, so only one cheat, no matter how you look at it, and it takes 3 to be thrown out. The Chunin assistant growled. It doesn't matter, you were dash. That's enough, Ibiki said, standing, directing his firmness at the Chunin. Said Chunin, cowed, backed off. Ibiki focused his attention on the two Konoha genin. That is some fantastic reasoning, genin. However, you must understand the purpose of this test. I cannot allow anyone else to do what you did and get away with it. So I have no choice. Hinata clenched her eyes. She had been so sure that the rules would be upheld exactly, that it would work, but now, like so many other times, she was only proving that. But to overlook it in light of your logic, though I want to impress on you that such tactics are one-offs and will only work once. Do you understand? Hinata, eyes wide, nodded as Kiba breathed a sigh of relief and he and Shino returned to their seats. But if any of the rest of you maggots, Ibiki said fiercely, tries that stunt, you will be thrown out. Got it? Good. Now on to the 10th question. Thanks, Naruto said. Guess I'm just a stupid idiot after all, not to figure out about the cheating. No, Hinata whispered back. You're just too honest. She suppressed a giggle at her tease as her boyfriend rolled his eyes. Still, Kiba and Shino are going to get after you for that. I know, she said, her brow creasing. I don't want to lie, though. Maybe you can dash. They continued to discuss quietly what they would do, tuning out the rest of the test. It wasn't until Temari, the girl member of the Sand Trio, shouted out that they realized they had forgotten the test wasn't over, and were much relieved they hadn't actually missed anything important. Sakura took the opportunity to move up to them. Guys, while that pretty cool Kiba and Shino are already talking about questioning you, but I came up with an idea, she whispered, as the others continued to talk loudly about how hard the test was and Ibiki explained the second true purpose. It might work if you tell them that you both promised Haku to help each other out, Naruto as his best friend, and Hinata as his girlfriend. What do you think? Well, Hinata said when Naruto looked to her. I think it should work. Shino respects my privacy and will keep Kiba from asking more questions, but only if I say it firmly. Okay. Naruto nodded. Then that's what we'll do. And since they won't run into Haku anytime soon, I can be ready to back the story up next time they see Haku. Right, Hinata-chan? Hinata nodded. Yes, I agree. Great, that's figured out. Now we just need to get to the next dash. She was interrupted by the shattering of glass as a new figure shot into the room and unfurled a huge banner. Arriving, the woman called out. Mitarashi Anko, the second examiner. Who's ready for the second exam? Twerps, the genuine sweat dropped. Hey, what's up with you guys? Ibiki's voice calmed called out the answer to her question. You're early.